Um, that heifer right there just don't even care.
Take yourself out.
What do you say, folks?
Hey, everybody.
We made it. Hope everybody's doing good on this Father's Day weekend.
Yep, just for the
Wait.
day.
What do you say, Joe? Appreciate it. Yeah, we love that old pickup truck. That was about the most non-pretty vehicle out there during that car show. And we was like, that's the one we got to take our picture with.
I was drooling over that truck. I'm not even gonna lie.
That's it. We love them old pickups.
Yeah, we
Evening, Steve. Happy Father's Day. Yeah, once again, everybody. Hope y'all, every one of you that's a pappy, pray it's been a blessing for you. And it's been a good day. And if you got adult youngins, imagine y'all would sent them on to the house.
did. Yeah.
But we had a good one. I ain't no pappy, but we had a good church service. Hannah went and talked to her daddy a little bit yesterday. And just sat in fellowship with some of the brothers at church earlier this morning, and we all just kind of went our ways. But
We got to play the bees yesterday. Huh?
yes,
That
we
was a
did.
good
Finally, we had a. Imagine most of you, if you're down here in the, let's say below the Bible Belt, really, and out Oklahoma and Texas up there, everybody getting this doggone bad weather coming in, and we've been under the gun for the last really week and a half, and
The rain was
every day you get 3 or 4 hours of rain, then it'll stop for about an hour, half to two, then it'll come back, and it ain't been just little rain showers. It's been pretty rough weather. Friday morning, we were supposed to be working on a roof, and that fell through with the rain. But we got a phone call later on, about 8. Let me back up a little bit. About 8 o'clock Friday morning, y'all, it come in, and it just, the wind was blowing, lightning popping,
nasty.
and one of them told her, I said, we may need to get somewhere and get a little safe, if you will, for a few minutes.
What he told me was go get your long pants and boots ready because we're probably fixing to leave.
And but we rode that part out. But Hannah's grandma, she's about 10 miles north of us up here, and just right through, which I imagine a lot of y'all, if y'all tune in with us, we put the little video out yesterday about the tornado and the swarm trap, and that tornado just literally went right across our grandma's back pasture, through the pecan orchard.
Which, thank God, it was the orchard and the back pasture. It didn't touch nothing on the house or none of the buildings out there.
Just thank the Lord on that. The old home place our grandma's in, that thing, from what we can pretty well we know to be true and factual that the old home place was there around the war between the states. And now, who was it? The nurse lived next door. Then the
And
doctor
the
lived.
doctor was 2 doors down. The old town doctor.
And but across the way, that tornado, it tore up some magnolia trees in the neighbor man's yard over there. And but that old house,
That old house has withstood a lot. I mean, a lot.
yeah, it didn't even, it literally did not so much as lift a shingle on the house. But it's got a modern roof on it. Don't get me wrong. But if you look under it, if you go in the attic, I love it up there.
It's the only attic he's ever willingly gone into work.
Because it's just old. I mean, it's true wood, true 2x4s. The old roof that you can see from the attic side, you can see every bit of them old cedar shank shingles all down through that roof line down through there. And like I said, I just love it. Them old time places. But we was able to kind of get into the bees a few days ago, and I had walked out in between one of the breaks of rain and looked, and y'all 99% of everybody was doing good. There's a little bit of bearding on the outside. Everybody trying to come out and fly a little bit during the rain break, and well, one of the other colonies, uh,
Play with him.
one of the other colonies looked down, and we knew. I knew as soon as I seen it. Started seeing beetle larvae easing on out of that front entrance right there. And sure enough, next day was able to actually get enough time to get in there and look and see what's going on. And the super on top slimed out the brood chamber, and it was a deep 10 frame deep. I should have recorded it, but in a lot of ways I just so aggravated because what had happened. And but y'all, I know if I took that vacuum and if I vacuumed 1,000 beetle larvae, and I'm not exaggerating, I know I vacuumed 10,000 out of there. They was you got that gap between your frame rail and your box. What, 3/8 maybe? Literally between every single frame rail and the wall. Those larvae, those beetle larvae, were just jam packed in there. I'd slide that frame over, and they just boil off of it. And most of y'all may have one of these, but we got like a little 1 gallon shop vac, kind of just for easy cleaning out cars and little easy simple projects. But that's what we use, and oftentimes that's what we use to get the beetles real quick instead of just trying to smush them. It's way easier.
Beetle vac.
Yeah, the old Beetle Vac 1000.
1,000. Can't remember what number.
But it helps. I mean, if you have beetle problems, you know how quick them little rascals can scurry and run as soon as you break that propolis seal.
Mike, no, we did not. We tried 3 or 4 different kinds of beetle traps and we just had no luck with them at all. Like, we couldn't see any effect.
No, we tried beetle barns. We tried the oil traps. I mean, the closest thing that come to halfway working pretty good was we went on and we had done the old CD trick, them old CD cases back in the day. I know y'all remember, don't be playing. But you could take a little pair of needle nose pliers and chip you a little piece of that plastic just big enough for that beetle to take and get inside that CD, and we put that diatomaceous earth in there, and that seemed to work pretty good. But the doggone bees would propolize all the holes, every little spot we nip out.
Yeah.
Week or two later, they'd have it propolised, which they doing what they're supposed to do. They're corralling the beetles in there and all that, and it got more aggravating trying to deal with the oil. Then thank the Lord, Earl come out and shared his trick with the peppermint, and
That's by far worked the best for us. But we hadn't
yes.
been able to get in them to put peppermints in them to do anything about it.
So probably what we're going to do is get us some peppermint oil and just do the peppermint oil. And we've had a couple of suggestions from folks in comments, just taking and well doing like Earl said. Earl was taking little dowels, wooden dowels. You can get them things at Walmart, a pack of 5 or 6 of them for just a little bit of nothing. Or DC had made a comment. No, it's not. Evening.
No,
Uh,
that me.
I think he was saying Steve's outdoor he was talking with, but somebody. And using popsicle sticks, doing the same thing, just soaking that peppermint oil and then popsicle sticks and putting them in there. And I think that's the route that we're going to start taking on the peppermint in now. I don't know. Talked to Earl about this a couple of times. I really wish somebody would kind of do the science, because to us, it's interesting that just that simple little thing is what keeps them hive beetles out. And but the science to it, is it the smell that keeps them rascals out of there? Then the biggest deal on really my end is I like the fact that with those candies, they store that candy around that brood chamber. They got something to, I'm gonna say, use a repellent, if you will, kind of like we would use a mosquito spray or something possibly. I don't know on those ends, but I really wish somebody would kind of check out the science on that and let everybody know what it is. But that's the route we fixing to take on that end. Now we did have the one dead out, and so that drove us into checking a couple others. Well, we started noticing on one of the single brood chamber management we've been working on, there was a bunch of ants trailing to that box. And we picked up on that throughout the years, that there's a chance there's something going on besides just ants being pushed up by the rain and the weather type thing. So, popped the lid on them. It was getting close, y'all. You're starting to see that glimmer and that shine in there. And
That's starting to crayon, honestly.
yeah, we was just thinking, here we go. We're starting over from all the mess from last year. I mean, we've had a good year kind of keeping the beetles at bay, but this year, last year, if y'all go back and watch some of the videos, buddy, I mean, y'all, we lost hive after hive after hive after hive because of them stupid beetles. No matter what we've done to them. I mean, the peppermint slowed them down a great deal. Don't get me wrong, but it was still a battle last year keeping them things at bay. Uh, but we got in them. Thank goodness we had to remove 20 frames out of that bunch, but we got them down to medium. Yeah,
Yeah.
got them down to one medium, so they are just a brood chamber.
So we loaded them.
Yeah.
Like, probably just about overdosed them. But we didn't lose the colony.
Yeah, we was able to save that bunch. And no, it was the colony next to it. We had the queen, the second queen.
Mm-hmm.
So
Bizarre incident.
yeah, blew our mind. We knew for sure then you start thinking, well, I know I've done this. But then you start questioning yourself, did I really do that? I know I done it.
Yeah.
And that's where we were for a good while. Then the short version of it, what y'all seen, we finally got down and uh, we found the painted queen. She was yeller. And it was like, oh yeah, game on. So we're gonna check on them in a couple of days. Don't know if the unmarked queen is mated well enough or
Yeah.
she's mated enough.
I
So
mean, she's laying, but it wasn't a spectacular breed pattern, I guess. And she really wasn't big at all.
no, she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me get y'all a link in here.
Yeah.
But we got them moved over. Done a split with it. And y'all bear with me. I'm trying to push buttons and get this link up here. Anybody wants to come in and chit chat for a little bit. So we split that bunch off. And we're gonna hope and pray that they do well.
That's an interesting question. The three boys bees?
You're gonna have to. I did not see your question for you boys being. Okay, again.
Said I had half of my production colonies full of hive beetles and a few didn't have any. Is there any science to genetics being a factor with hive beetles?
You
I
asked the
never
wrong
thought
one,
about
Bubba, on that
that.
one. I don't know.
I feel good.
I really wish. I mean, okay. I may I'm gonna try not to ruffle some feathers on this, but I am. There are other pests and issues to worry about in the honeybee colony just besides mites.
At least in our area.
Yes. Well, I mean, you okay, here we go. You got some areas that seem to be more prone to mites, okay? Then, and from our observation and talking to folks, this seems to be in the northern part of the states, as far as excessive amounts. It seems like the further south you get, and we're pretty well, I hate to say this, but we're pretty well on the coast. We're about 80 miles from the coast. So it does get a little bit warmer, a little bit hotter down here, those type things. But let's concentrate on all the pests and what we can do to remedy all pests instead of just concentrating on just one particular pest so much. That's just me in my opinion. Y'all please don't take me wrong on that, but if we're going to look at things, we need to look at the whole picture, not just a portion of it. Yes, sir, it is. Three boys on a lot of ends between the new beekeeper coming in and thinking, oh, this ain't going to be nothing. We're just going to set some bees out there. They're going to make us some honey, and it's just going to be, it's going to be all right. Then you have the ignorance of pesticides, what's being sprayed along highways. Unfortunately, what the layperson or the everyday individual does to take and keep pests off their plants, their vegetables, their flowers, the things that the bees would pollinate, maybe not necessarily be able to get nectar off of, but at least be able to pollinate those plants. the education is where it's going to be key on all that. Now, I will admit, before we got into beekeeping, for the most part, spray what you want to. I don't care. Kill it off, that type thing, and
Totally different mindset.
absolutely, or burn it off, whatever it is. You know, I mean, like down here, we do. There's a lot of woodland management, which is great because we're less likely to have severe woodland fires, that type thing. I'll put it like this: you know, when deer season is over, because when you're coming home, and about 10 miles up the road up there, you see about 150 acres on fire. But I forgot where I was going. All that
Imagine that.
train off the track.
Chasing rabbits.
Sure would. Y'all forgive me on that. But education,
Yeah.
yes,
very
education, and it's getting the people to actually take and listen to what you're saying and take it in. But
good. Yeah, I think you got to get somebody that actually cares about the problem. And then the problem is getting them to listen to you.
yes, my doggone screen on me again. Yep.
Mm,
Can you see me on this one? Oh
Twinkle face.
no. No, we're going on that one. She's just gonna have to read the comments. I guess I'll look at the camera and chit chat, but
You're better at that anyway.
I don't even know if we'll be able to let anybody in if it froze up.
No. Think about that.
This doggone.
Cool.
Bear with us again, perfectly. Sure won't. I don't even know if there's a way to refresh.
Hmm.
There is. One of y'all that you know who Lee in here, maybe.
Well, he was.
Let's see.
That's very good.
One of y'all know a way to refresh on these phones without completely dropping the chat. Well, let's see. I can look at the chat too. Come on, Jeff. Get out there. So here we got Russell. Appreciate you coming in, brother. Todd, good to see you now. Minnesota Mike, Steve.
I've been trying to say hey.
Oh,
While you've been yakking.
I've been yakking. All right, y'all bear with me. Let me see if I can do this without dropping y'all. Maybe. I don't know. See, maybe. Oh, we back in action, people. I did. Well, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going again. Did the thing first? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All
All right, that baby's open now, y'all. I can hit that guest button. Y'all come in and tell us about you. Let's see what else in the beekeeping. Oh. Forgot about this. When we was coming home, okay. Most of us are having a poor year as far as a honey flow or a good nectar flow. And like I was saying, the aggravation of all this rain, don't know. I don't have any kind of schooling in trees and weather and all that stuff. But early on in the season, mid-February, early March, the tie was blooming, the privet was blooming. Yeah. You want to tell them?
No,
You can tell.
You're good.
Well, after surveying all the tornado damage yesterday, we went through the pecan orchard and went to the back field, and it's pretty open, but in the just about middle of the field in the back there, there's a big old oak in the middle of it. Jasper,
That's
let me
what
put
I
this
put
dog
in
down.
there.
There's a big old oak in the center of the field, and ain't nobody been in there to take and clean the underbrush. What do you say, Chris? Appreciate you coming in, bro.
No problem. You guys look lonely.
We good.
All those
But
people over there in chat, none of them jumping in. I said, well, I'll give you guys.
I think
What's up?
I said we can get 6 in here without paying.
Oh, there you go.
That Jasper needs his own channel. I agree.
Well, oh,
But who's gonna manage it?
he is he's become full of himself, that's for sure.
Oh my
He has made
gosh.
himself at home.
Let me
But
click your thumbs up. I forgot to do that when I got in.
thanks, sir. I don't know what that does, but I guess it gets it out there. Lets folks
Yeah,
know
yeah.
when.
Radio land.
But with
So I
this weather,
missed a lot what you were saying because I was trying to log in and it kept telling me I had to use a different account. So I missed a lot.
we was coming back from doing, tornado damage up at her grandma's house, and we was cutting through the back pasture, through the orchard, if you will. And there's a section back there that's got a big old live oak in the middle of it, and it's pretty well in the middle of this 10-acre pasture. Just sits alone. Well, there's some underbrush under there. There's a little bit of tie under it. There's a little bit of privet under it. I think there's a couple dogwoods trying to come up. But like I was saying early on, our privet and our tie was February, early March. And we thought we was going to do pretty good with it. Nothing for the most part. So we've been dealing all this rain the last week and a half. And whenever we went up yesterday to look at all that mess, and we decided, well, let's go back here and check out the back field. We looked around that tree and all that underbrush around it. And y'all,
My heart skipped a beat.
the tie was blooming again, and the privet was blooming again. So Lord willing, maybe we're gonna see something a little bit better. I hope. Lord, I hope on the honey end.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
I harvest more today myself.
That's awesome.
are you getting
Right
on up
before it
to
rained.
about a couple hundred
Yeah.
pounds now?
What's that?
You getting up about a couple hundred pounds now?
I'm up to 200 now.
200.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And the rest is going to be for them. I'm not going to touch them anymore for the rest of the year. So they have plenty going into the winter.
I mean, do you have a pretty decent flow considering it?
I pull between 8 to 9 frames every time I go in there.
Mhm.
So they're filling them up. It's just they're not capping very fast.
Yeah.
That's what we see. We sign a lot of backfilling for the most part, but not much capping going on. I don't know if it's just they're pulling on it so quick because, well, now the rain or what the case may be.
Yeah. I also had to go into one of my hives because I suspicious just watching the front entrance. I noticed my numbers were getting lower and lower, so I went in there and I noticed that was no new eggs in there. I had some brood that still had to be capped, but there was no brood new eggs or anything. So tried to look for the queen, couldn't find her, so I just took a frame of eggs out of another hive and tossed it in there. Let's see what they do with it.
Well, hopefully that queen ain't failing on you.
Well, it is
So,
a swarm. It was a swarm queen,
oh, okay.
so she might have died. You never know. So
Mhm. Well, nothing else you can't find her, do your old combine and keep them going. It feels a good, fairly good sized swarm, something to
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
just
I
about.
did another one 2 weeks ago. Did the same thing, and they actually made a queen cell out of it. So I'm hoping this one will do the same thing. It's
Shane,
just
go ahead. Go
just
ahead,
my
Chris.
swarms are having all the issues, not my packages or my nukes that I got. Just the swarms.
The only thing we can figure, I guess, let me answer Shane's question real quick. Hannah's typing you some up.
No, go ahead. I was just talking because you were talking.
This is our fifth season, and seasons 1 through 4, y'all, we could not keep up with the honey. I mean, we literally should have harvested 2 or maybe even 3 times before kind of the tie before pulling the popcorn tree. I mean, not, I'm stuck on tie. The tallow. I mean, with just wonderful flows. Honey bound, like I say, you couldn't keep up with them. But this year, it's like the faucet ain't even hardly dripping on anything. Now I think it's got to be one of the main reasons we're not seeing the swarms and all that stuff, because I guess this is just my view on it. There's not enough resources out there for them to justify grow, and to take and build up that excess whenever you don't have the resources to provide for the excess bee coverage. And the drones ain't really been much this year either. I mean, we've had a handful, but when we was in that box yesterday, we probably seen 8 or 10, maybe. The most drones we seen had their heads stuck between the queen excluder, whether they had got in there and got stuck and died.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I took mine out of my hives. I'm like, my mentor said, you might. So if the queen goes up there and lays eggs, that's good for your hive anyway. So they'll backfill it.
Well, that's what they done. This is our first year really running them too, to be honest with you. And we was main thing going up that single brood chamber management. That's not, well, to be honest, that's the only 2 in the yard out of the 9 that had or that's got queen excluders on them. And whenever we got done yesterday, I just pulled both excluders and said, look, our main goal really this year wasn't thinking about a honey crop and trying to do all that. Yes, it would have been nice to get a little bit, don't get us wrong, but our set goal was to try and grow the yard and get the bees.
Build our bees.
Yes, build our bees.
Right.
But we're gonna see what happens. Like DC says, it's just a season. We'll I know this ain't
this is my only second season doing it. So last year I only had 1 hive. This year I got 11.
Oh, you jumped up pretty
You
good.
did.
And that all happened with all those 8 swarms that I caught.
If I'd have sworn from last year we made it, we'd be all right. We had, Lord, what was it? 4 late season swarms, all the way up until mid-November. Then March of last year, like I said, but we couldn't keep up with them with swarm cells and all that. That's where we was doing the poor man's incubator, and we would try. We just got to the point we split everything we could split, and whatever swarmed, so be it. That's just the way the Lord wanted it to be, and if nothing else, it's populating a little bit of the
Somewhere
area
else.
here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had, it's funny because I get all my packages from my mentor, and they fertilize their queens, before they put them in the packages. They actually have a guy that actually self fertilizes them. So they're already fertilized before they go into the little package box. And when you get them, he puts about 4 to 5 pounds of bees in them. He doesn't do the normal 3. So I don't mind paying the extra $5 for that because they're only $155 for a package.
Mm.
And I told them I'm like, are they supposed to swarm in 3 months after I get them? Because that's what happened. 2 of my packages actually swarmed on me,
Wow.
and that's how. And if you go out to my hive right now, I have to split them because I have more bees on the outside than I have on the inside, and they're 3 stories tall.
Oh my gosh.
So they packed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all the frames are. So I just let the excluder off. I said, you know what? Go ahead, queen, lay all the way up. If I need to use the eggs from her, I'll put them in another hive that needs, a little boosting before winter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Fine.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the things you got to. This year has been a huge learning curve or learning experience, I'll say,
Yeah.
because I guess we had kind of been spoiled to just everything going pretty good and not having to deal
Yeah.
with so much of a bad year. So it's turned from simple and laid back beekeeping to actually having to think about how we're going to keep these colonies going and keep them alive versus, getting a little bit of honey for, so and so down the road or something type thing. Now it's turned into a survival mode in a sense
Mm.
to keep them going, especially come fall season. Our typically what happens with us with the goldenrod,
A storm blows it away
it will
every year.
a tropical storm or some kind of hurricane comes in here just right soon as everything's going to peak, and
Right.
it'll blow it down, beat it up, or just basically give it a root rot in a sense with a foot and a half of rain that we'll get in a week period.
Yeah, after I watched your video, I'm like, I need to get some tie down straps for my hives because, we get
Yeah.
pretty bad weather during the hurricane season down here in Charleston. We just don't need another Hugo or anything like that. But
Ooh, I ain't heard that name in a long time.
Mm.
I was there
Yeah,
for that one. It
was you?
was not a pretty sight.
My word. Yeah, I remember that being a bad storm. Uh,
And I've been through
brother,
7 since
oh Lord,
in different areas.
say don't get us to count. We've been through all of them right here.
Well, I was in Biloxi when that one hit in Biloxi,
Katrina.
Mississippi. Yes, and I was also in 2 of them in Puerto Rico, a couple in Georgia. Yeah, I've been in a few.
Y'all Biloxi, Gulfport, all that down there.
Hmm.
If I remember right, that was probably it didn't top Camille, that's for sure.
No, I wasn't down there for that one. I think I was
But
overseas for that one
yeah,
in the
Camille was
military.
trying to remember what Camille was. Late 60s, I think Camille come in way before my time, but mom and daddy and everybody else. That that's one of them storms you remember, I reckon, coming in.
The
And
biggest ones, yeah.
Katrina showing up done some damage. Well, I mean, Louisiana too over that way. Everybody,
Yeah.
New Orleans in,
Louisiana
you
got
had
it bad.
the levees busted over there, flooded New Orleans. I mean, just a mess. Yeah. Them storms can put you in a bind real fast.
Real fast, yeah.
But brother, what we done, and you can get, I think it's like a pack of 8. Look on Amazon for trampoline tie downs, and all they
Oh,
are,
okay.
them old dog runners that was like a corkscrew.
Yeah.
That's all they are, but they're about, I think, about 18 inches, 2 feet long, something like that. And we keep ours in the ground around every single one of our boxes. I mean,
And just
it
tie
get
them down that way.
yeah. If we
Yeah.
just throw a rope over them,
You bought that
boom, boom.
parachute cord rope stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, we got it's parachute
Like
cord.
some souped up
Yeah, a little
stuff.
more durable than just regular rope.
Yeah, just some old nylon rope type thing. But
Yeah.
it holds them. I mean, we went through, was it Zeta? And they stayed?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Zeta was a category 3 that come literally over the top of us. The eye was probably 40 miles west of us.
Yeah. So you
And
did get the blunt of it.
Oh, it was terrifying. My gosh.
it was a little intense because coming in, the old weather man, and I mean, he's about the only one we trusted. You know, we was listening to him, and oh, it's
He
just going to
blew it
be a
off.
tropical storm. And we're
Yeah.
like, well, shoot, we deal with 70, 80 mile an hour winds all the time with a thunderstorm. So we
Hmm.
can ride it out right here. And
That
granted,
was the
y'all,
worst mistake.
we're in a single wide, okay?
Oh,
And we had a customer call us about 10 o'clock, and they lived in Mobile. There was about 25 miles from us. They said, I got it bad leak. Can you come before it gets here too bad? So, buddy, we fly down there. We finally get home close to midnight, and we're sitting here at the house, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, we could feel the single wide shaking.
The whole house is moving. Literally. You're hearing limbs bouncing off the roof and tree limbs snapping outside. I'm like, wishing we
now
could.
are you on a foundation or you just have skirting?
No, it's just on blocks.
It's just on blocks and tied down.
Literally.
Yeah, the only
Yeah.
thing Alabama, or only thing Mobile County calls for is just a red pad. It ain't got to be concrete or nothing like that.
Yeah.
You just got to be sitting on some kind of clay pad.
Yeah.
But they do
Never
have to
again.
tie it down and all that good stuff. But yeah, the old weatherman lied to us on that one.
You guys have to worry about tornadoes too. So
Yeah, but the beehives come through
Yeah,
great.
fine.
Like they were no worse for wear. The
No,
way he tied them down.
nobody was tipped over. I think the highest on them we had, they was about 3 high, and we was running all deeps then.
Yeah.
And I'll say we was about 4 or 5 hives. It wasn't a whole bunch of them, but it worked plenty enough to keep them rascals up in a 120 mile an hour sustained wind.
yeah, I got it. That's what I got to think about next, probably this month, because hurricane season started. If I'm not mistaken already.
Yeah, it started. It starts in June.
Yeah, this month, I
doesn't
think
it?
it
Yeah,
is.
sometime this
Yep.
month.
So I got to get hot and heavy on the tie down straps.
Yeah, I don't think there was a little bit of nothing, brother, to be honest with you. Don't hold me to it. I'm going to say about 25, $30 for that pack of 8 of them.
Oh, I'm not worried about that part. I'm just worried about me getting out there and doing it. Between work and getting home and this 91-degree weather, it wears me out.
Yes, sir. We with you on that,
I was
but
I was
go
amazed
ahead.
how hot it was this morning when I got the honey,
Mhm.
and it was 8 o'clock this morning. I'm like, it's already 80 degrees. Yeah, it's gonna be a. And I wear my heavy suit when I do the honey because that's just the way I roll without getting stung. So
Mm.
Mhm.
It's been, which y'all deal with the humidity too and all that stuff pretty bad up that way. And you know how you have them fluctuations of that humidity throughout the day. You'll be burning up second number 1. Well, second number 2, all of a sudden you have this blast of nice, cool air come in and settle on top of you. Kind of like, I guess, after a storm comes in, the best way to explain it.
yeah, it's
But
pretty nice then.
that's the way it's been doing down here with all this bad weather coming in. I mean, the humidity will shoot up to where you walk from the house to the truck and you're wiping your forehead already, to right before and after these storms that it drops
That little
25 degrees
chill.
and stays there instead of getting right back up humid. It's just, oh, it's been a weird weather pattern down here.
Right?
Let's see.
What she did.
Try to get in and see some of these comments.
Lisa was saying her son-in-law lost 2 of his colonies in that wind a couple days ago.
Oh yeah.
In Blue Major. I
Yeah,
guess.
I wish everybody a happy Father's Day.
Yeah, we tried to do that in the beginning, but I don't think too many people were in here yet.
Oh,
No, they went
We
about
missed
I
five.
it.
wasn't. I
Yes, sir.
think I
Hope
jumped in
everybody.
there. You had like 17 people in when I jumped in. So
Hey, we surprised at what we got 21 now.
22 watching.
Hey, appreciate y'all very much, y'all. Lord Grammy, I hope he can recoup pretty good off that.
She said as soon as she harvests, she's gonna split again and fix him back up.
I got you. That's pretty cool, Grammy. Get him back on track there.
She's got a plan to take care of it.
Don't mess with them women and their plans,
That's
huh?
right.
Were you waiting for that one?
You open that door.
Don't have that problem.
Tim's probably thinking, count your blessings.
I enjoy that problem.
Sometimes.
If I can't aggravate her, then I don't know. I just love
He
to aggravate
aggravates
the mess
me
out of
anyway.
her. I try to tell her a bunch of stories. Most of them are tall tales, but I try to put them out to where they're
That's an understanding.
somewhat believable.
Somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat believable.
He thinks they're somewhat believable.
And I had her for just that much the other day on one. And as soon as I got into it, she just gave me that look right there. But,
when he takes that first good breath, I know this is a fishing tail.
Uh-oh.
Don't do this.
them old, we call them Indian hens. They're a big, tall woodpecker. I mean, these things are, I'm probably about 2 feet tall for real. Just a huge.
Some of them.
But I think the correct name is pileated or pileated.
Yeah.
Pileated woodpecker. But I was telling her going down the road, I said, you know, them old Indian hens. I said, you know how them Indians used to take and get them totem poles carved out, don't you? And she looked at me and I said, they get that old Indian hen and they held them by the left leg and the right leg. And I said, it's variable speed.
Variable speed control on each leg. You gotta sled. I was like, yeah, and he's still got a straight face. I hope you think I'm believing what's coming out of your mouth. No.
That's it. Grammy got it. Yep.
DC, read his comment. It's for you. Just for you.
Oh, yeah, DC. Yes, sir.
Larimore's digging himself a hole just like you are. Oh, yeah.
What's he into?
That one. When I got married, I thought she was Miss Right. After a year, she's always her. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have learned that the yes dear.
No, you haven't. You really
Yes.
haven't.
Yes, dear. Yep. I used to
These
say that a lot. That's probably why I'm not married.
Yeah. All right. You're supposed to be talking about honeybees.
Okay.
Right?
How you got down?
I can't even get my kids come even over to my house because of my bees.
Oh.
Can't even see my grandchildren. Yeah, they don't want to. Daughter's afraid they'll get stung. I said, really? You think I'd let them get stung? I might have to buy them bee suits for Halloween.
There you go. Yeah, old Pawpaw slide that in for Halloween season, then come bee season next year.
For next year, yep. You got it.
My friend. That is
But they're only
brilliant.
3 years old, so I ain't gonna be doing too much.
You got time to talk them into it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Who were we talking about that with? Was it Lee, maybe, when he was over here? But we were talking about how some people are just so scared of them. But like, if they would just give it a chance, like get in a suit and really honestly go out there and fool with them long enough to take a deep breath, like a lot more people, I think, would really enjoy it a lot more than they think they would.
Yeah, as long as they got the suit on.
And I mean,
I mean,
even stings aren't unbearable unless you're allergic to them. Then it's
and yeah, that's,
the pain
don't want
part.
that.
Hmm.
I said you don't want that.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. It's
But
just,
like she's saying, it's just a mind thing. Which don't get me wrong now. Some of them little girls will put it to you, Jack. It don't.
yeah.
I mean, I've been popped sometimes. I know. I imagine y'all, everybody else in here fooling with the bees. You get popped and you pretty well you just flick her off. Well, buddy, there's one in that group that is like supercharged, and when she puts it to you now, I mean, there's some pain involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that happen last Sunday.
Uh-oh.
Got me right on the ankle. I had my full suit on, and right above my tennis shoe, where's the sock at? And the suit has that little elastic stuff that goes on the bottom of my suit so they can't climb up my legs.
Mm-hmm.
It showed that much of my sock,
And they found it.
and it's right on my ankle with the arthritis. I don't even feel my ankle no more. That
I
stuff
was
worked good, but she stung the heck out of me.
yeah. Well, hey, I always just kind of looked at that as swapping one pain for another.
I mean,
Well,
it helped.
I don't have the arthritis hardly anymore. I don't even feel it. So
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah. I used to depend on that venom for arthritis. Literally, I depended on it.
I mean, she would go out there and purposely get
Get something in the
stung,
hand.
or yeah, the
Anywhere.
joints, anything like that. Then
Mhm.
a day or two later, I mean, she was relieved for several days.
Like once
Of,
the swelling from the bee sting went down,
Yeah.
I was good. Like I was golden for a few days at least off of one sting.
You know, you always heard about it working on arthritis, but you never wanted to test it on
I
purpose.
did. That was the first thing I did when we got bees. So I want to see if
that's
there's
right.
any truth to this, literally.
I mean,
So,
not gonna get into to the hard details, but I mean, she has rheumatoid arthritis in her hands and joints,
mm,
and it's not just a regular arthritic pain. This is
Right.
pain type
mm.
thing, and yeah, buddy. I mean, she knuckle up and head on down the hill down there, and
I mean, don't get it wasn't like I particularly enjoyed getting stung, but it wasn't. I don't think it's near as bad as a lot of people work themselves up to believe it is. Like it's,
Uh,
I don't
we should just ask Bob because he gets hit every day.
know. Just about.
Every time he walks out in his yard.
Yeah.
has
Who
he been
was
in
that?
here? Is he in the
I
No,
don't
chat?
know.
I haven't seen Bob tonight.
I mean, it
Man,
is Father's Day.
what?
You know, because Bob would jump right in and say hi.
I hope he does, because I got something for you, Bob Walker.
But yeah, I think Wizard of Oz wanted your bees, is why you ain't seen any.
No. No, I haven't seen him in here.
No, he might. Well, like I said, this she asked
That's a
me.
little too many, Granny.
Yeah.
Let me go back here.
I hate it didn't help your arthritis though, Lisa. But I mean, it's just like everything. Some things work for some people and don't do nothing for other people. But
Hey, the most stings now. You were talking about the mamas worrying about them babies getting stung, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely understand that because they don't know if they're allergic and all that stuff. But in a sense, mom and daddy put us out there for test trials.
Did he really? Just like throwing your kid out to swim?
Yes, sir. Swim or drown.
Yep. I
And
drowned, so
Oh no. That's how I learned to swim.
but now an old, I mean, I don't know if this is just an old Southern trick or remedy or what have you, but I imagine everybody knows somebody that smokes a cigarette. And when y'all get stung or when them babies get stung, you ain't got nothing else. Break you a little piece of that cigarette off, maybe. I don't know, about the size of a piece of gum. Not real big.
The tobacco.
It sounds nasty, but spit on that tobacco good and heavy and wet that nicotine. Stick and hold that cigarette there on that bee sting and give it about 5-10 minutes and they'll be good to go.
Hmm.
Done that for Lord, my daddy done that to me. I can't tell you for years and years. Then, like if somebody gets popped around here, there's some tobacco laid around somewhere, and uh, do that same thing. Put it on there, and it'll draw that burn out of it.
yeah, I had just put up some warning signs and some uh, trespassing, no trespassing around the beehives, just just to help people understand that they're busy working.
Hmm. And they don't like to move out of their little flight path either. We figured
No,
out.
you ever stand in front of their entrance and just look behind you once?
Oh, you talk about angry bees? My God.
Let me in. Get out of the way.
Lord have mercy. Some of the worst things I ever got was from standing directly in front of the entrance and not realizing I had completely blocked it off. That's an interesting thought. Larimore said, what would propolis chewed up do for a stain?
Hmm.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but I'll
But I
try
can't
that.
test that theory anymore.
But I'll try that.
Yeah. you
Because
can
I'm
try
all
that.
about all using natural remedies. Do that with the
Right?
bee sting. I got pine trees out here that I use for cuts. There's always a pine tree in this yard that's going to be weeping sap
Mm.
24/7, 365. And usually about every other month, I'll go in and I'll break off some pine bark and I'll shove in that old hole that I made and repack it, keep them beetles out of that pine. Then I'll go to another one, make me a little cut in it, maybe about a ½ inch round with my pocket knife. And like I say, constantly make that thing weep. And at work, I'm either cutting my hands up or busting them wide open with a hammer or some kind of blood is coming out somewhere. And as soon as I get home, get washed up, I go straight out to them old pine trees, boom, boom, load them puppies up, and about a day or two later, you good to go. But that is interesting.
That's a really interesting thought. I mean, propolis has a lot, like a lot of medicinal benefit to it from what I've read on it. So I don't know. It might do something for us.
I don't know if the honey
If you can stand to chew. I
that
can't
chew the
do
propolis.
the texture like that.
No, she did. She would take, and
I
we would
do
get propolis
take it,
and ingest it. Yeah.
but I mean, I just swallow it like a
Least
capsule.
telling the truth on you, Tim.
I just seen that. The man, he's telling
What? Oh no, come on, y'all.
he's
Why
telling
would
the
I?
truth on me.
Yeah, why would I keep a box of band-aids in my purse for you if I use the hammer on it?
That's just to say you're there to help. Bam! Oh,
Why would I make a mess to clean it up? That makes no sense.
But I did catch a little bit about your high beetle issues. So you're just using the candy now, or the actual oils?
We're gonna try the oil.
yeah, we're gonna move up and start using the oil. Now, don't get me wrong. Huge fan of the candies, and kind of just highlight what I was talking about earlier. I'm a big fan of them putting that candy around that brood chamber. for whatever the reason,
Mhm.
whether health reasons or repellent reasons type thing. But once again, thinking in a survival mode with this weather, we haven't been able to get into everybody every 3 to 5 days and re-up on the candy. So going with the oil, either on wooden popsicle sticks or wooden dowels, soaking that wood in that peppermint oil and putting in there, hoping that that'll last longer just in case we get into another one of these, whether it's weather events or just for some reason we can't get in them for a minute type thing.
Right. See, I was using the peppermint candy before I got my oil high beetle bottom boards,
Mhm.
and since I went to the bottom boards with the oil in them, I haven't had a single high beetle in my hives, and
Really?
I've introduced that to a couple other beekeepers here that have been doing beekeeping for a while because they just use the regular wood bottom boards and they've got beetle issues. They switched over to them also, and they started getting rid of all their high beetles because what happens is, the beetles have to come in. They usually come in through that little crack right at the entrance. They maneuver their way in there. Once they get there, they actually have to cross the screen. Well, they fall into the bottom of the oil pan. There's no coming out, and I'll pull my pan out once a week and look at it, and I'll count maybe 5 to 10 high beetles that were captured. So I know they're high beetles; they're just not getting into my hive.
Mm.
Well,
There's
But that's what I've been using.
I don't know if he's watching or not, or
okay.
What's up, Mike?
the Maples family.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
That's right. Hey, Minnesota Mike. There you go. Get you back in focus.
So I don't really. I've had limited experience with high beetles. The only time we've ever had them is if we bought a package, and then we'd have them for that one season. But I was just talking to a chemist in north central Wisconsin, and she was having such a hard time with the Japanese beetles there, and so she put
Oh
nematodes,
yeah.
put the nematodes in all the land out there, and started spraying them around. And she said that took care of them. And I've heard of Jason Christman actually went into something interesting about using nematodes around your hives for the hive beetles. Now, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm just reporting to other folk. I know other people put like black tar paper down around their hives, so when you get a larva out there, yeah, Chris knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then the last one I can think of is, and I don't remember anybody doing this. I don't know where this is coming from, but basically salting the crap out of the ground around your hives. So that
To
acts
kill
as
all the vegetation and everything. Yeah.
yeah, and if you get larvae and eggs down there, it should dry them out. But you know, um, just a thought there. And then you guys were talking about honeybee stings. We all saw the video of Bob Binney being treated for shingles.
Mm.
When he had him so bad, he had open sores up in his face, his neck, and his chest. And he'd been stung once before. His assistant had done this, and he was in so much pain he was having trouble breathing. And it gave him 6 stings, in the chest, neck, and and so on. He came back on about an hour later. 90% of the pain was gone. Lisa said that just doesn't work for her. Hey, Shane, sorry guys, I can't type in here now. Yeah, Lee saw that one. Yeah, it. I wish I'd known about that. It apparently doesn't work for everybody, but one of my great aunts had shingles, and going back on now, I have rheumatoid arthritis in my side of my neck, Hannah, and that was a real problem. And I've been wondered about tennis elbow too. So I get stung, and literally within 30 minutes, the pain goes away. So get ready for this sideways twist here. I'm part of an analytical group. all we do is run through data. I'll just leave it at that. And people were wondering what the heck was going on with beekeepers and the Chinese virus. And they actually tracked down two beekeepers, maybe it's 2 or 3 beekeepers in Wuhan itself. They weren't getting sick. They weren't getting hospitalized, at least. So what we're thinking is going on is that there is a certain amount of anti-inflammatory that's either in the stings itself or your body creates it after the venom is introduced. It could be a combination of the two. But if you look around, folk, you'll see that Jason Christman, he and his wife had gotten the vaccine, and they got, the secondary COVID, and even Ian Stepler, too, he was fighting through it. But I defy you to find a beekeeper in North America that had no vaccines or no preconditions that was, got really sick. If you find them, let me know. These folks like to, find out about it. And that was never brought up. And I just can't believe that more people haven't talked about it. But, something that was information suppression in such a huge fashion. And oddly enough, when I first got it, I started getting tinglings in my sinuses. Let's see if I come back. There we go. And I knew what it was. It wasn't part of the symptoms. It was early on. It felt like my nose was, your feet tingles when it falls asleep and it's coming back. Yeah. Oddly enough, because my cattery had been infected with mange mites.
Mm-hmm.
All of my rescue animals, all my regular animals, and myself were on ivermectin. All of them. So you can just take that with what you want. It might have had a natural immunity too, but there is a lot to treatment with bees. Oh, and then one last thing. I had one of my feral rescues had a big gash on the side of his neck, and I would typically treat that with Nader's Udder Balm. That's just what I go to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't milk cattle, you won't know what that is, but I did that, and it wasn't really going all that well. And so I cleaned it out again, and I crammed honey in there, and half the wound closed up in 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I've used honey a few times on cuts when my pine tree wasn't running good.
Well, and just to try it too.
Yeah, it's like anything else. Them evergreens, y'all know how it is. When that sap's up, they're going to run. Fall and all, the sap's going to drop. That type stuff. But that's what I use pine sap often on my cuts and burns and type stuff. But yes, honey does work just as good.
Well,
on cuts and minor burns.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, Tim, because you guys all heard the name Marla Spivak at the University of Minnesota Egg Campus. She's 40 minutes south of me.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were going through, they were talking about what type of propolis the bees put in the hives in Minnesota. And it's predominantly, oh, thank you, Lisa. We all thank you. It's predominantly cottonwood. But they did go into great detail that, conifers, pine tree sap, have the highest amount of antiviral and antibacterial.
Yes,
so they actually went through that whole thing. But the last one was, that when honey is exposed to moisture, it releases peroxide. So you not only have the enzymes in the honey, but you actually have a disinfectant and your wound provides the moisture. So
the blood, yeah.
Just all old school stuff. And I'm sorry, guys, I read way too much data.
No, we read most of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's why I swapped to ingesting the propolis when I couldn't do the bee stings anymore because of all the medicinal benefits to it, but especially because like ours is 90% pine sap or all pine sap, so it's the anti-inflammatory component in the propolis here too.
I wonder though if the propolis itself has any anti-inflammatory properties to it at all. just by being an antiviral and antibacterial, it will. But I don't know anything about that. Please
I
please
know the
explain.
pine sap does have
Wonderful.
the anti-inflammatory properties
Okay.
too, and
No
that's what
kidding.
they make propolis out of down here. Because like in our yard, it's nothing but pines and oak.
Same
So,
here. Yeah. Yeah. That's
so
it's a grand thing, but I'm right there with you, Mike. I watch too many videos. Yeah, thanks, Ed.
Well, to kind of
Good
go
thing.
back and touch on what you was talking about the nematodes a while ago. Earl, hillbilly beekeeping. He Man, that joker can absorb information and soak it up like a sponge and put it out in good old boy terms where most of us can understand it type thing. God love him.
It's glorious.
But he's got one of his videos where he goes through and he explains about how he has the nematodes around his yard and puts them in the ground, and they was killer of the beetle larvae. And you can check out his video to get all he can kind of go into redneck science, if you will. And that is something thought about trying too. But I don't reckon there's just a one cure all for them right now
No,
type
probably
thing.
not. Probably
Yeah.
not. But if you've got them that bad, and honestly, in your instance here, is there any place where you can put the hives where they get more sunlight?
Not
not really.
not
I mean,
really.
we're in the woods right here.
They probably get half sun and half shade. The way it works, they'll get morning
That's way mine are.
sun, and the morning sun will be, we'll say 9 a.m. to about 2 p.m. Then between east and west after that, it's shade.
Mm.
And I've drug out, old shingles off a roof we tore off and cleaned them up, and I threw them down there and made big old layers and piles with them. But where the bees are, the land tapers. It's got just a little bit, but it's got a good little slope, what we would call a good little slope. And what was happening to us is as the rain moves the land every time it rains, it was just settling on top of those shingles. Shingles was holding the ground for us, thank goodness, but it was just like a sandwich type stuff. You'd have dirt and have to put more shingles, dirt, more shingles, that type thing. And I pretty well give up on putting carpet and shingles, anything down.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about your terrain and the amount of rain and so on. So
You could always try grub bee gone too, since the worms are considered the maggots are considered like a grub, so it
Is that
Yeah.
works.
just throw out, spread it out?
Yeah, it's a granule that you put underneath your hives,
Remember that.
and it
Well,
doesn't affect the bees.
so I think the nematodes, if I understand it right, you mix it in water and then pour it around or spray it around or whatever, and then they get down in the ground. So that might not affect the runoff that you have quite as much. Now, here's a good question for you. How deep do hive beetle larvae go in the ground? Does anybody know?
Mm.
Couldn't tell you, and I'm a
Yeah,
bug guy.
so but there is yeah, exactly. You son of a gun, Chris.
Yeah, I'd say
Um,
maybe an inch or two, I reckon. I mean, because that permethrin, whenever we do put it down, I don't
Yep.
imagine it soaks up very deep. Maybe a half inch into the ground. I'd assume probably the deepest it goes.
And
yeah,
erythrians will mess with your bees too, just so you know that. That's why
Mm,
yeah,
you don't want to
yeah.
use any with erythrians around your bees.
No, the only time I've ever used permethrin to spray around the bees is just around the legs of the stands. And the stands were about 1.5 feet tall. And I'd put it right at the base. And that was just to try and keep ants off. But yeah, permethrin will just 2 to 8 inches, Lee. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with that. There's no way
Right.
there's no way
I use,
spray it all over the ground.
I use axle grease around my legs and my hives. It works great.
Does your wife complain about your socks being sticky then, or? Oh, hive stand legs. Okay, I'm sorry. So you walked into that one. I couldn't resist.
I ain't married, but I guess you'd be okay with
Conversation back around.
it.
Oh my goodness.
Here we
No,
go
that's a
again.
good idea.
Back on them wives.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. And then to change the subject a little bit here. I can't remember who I got this from. I absolutely can't. But you have cinnamon, and then you have fake cinnamon, and fake cinnamon is just really close. It's just a different plant. But if you go into, your store, you'll see those, the big jars of cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
And Lee will probably pop in here and tell me. I can't remember who it was that said, okay, so if you put cinnamon around, it keeps the ants from coming out. Kind of
It
take
does.
that with a grain of salt.
It just makes it go a different direction. That's all it does.
Yeah, so I have a video up where I had a bunch of hummingbird feeders. I sprinkled it all on the top because the ants would come down the string, and I sprinkled it all over the top on that. And if you look at the video, see the ants getting up to cinnamon and going, "Oh crap, we're out of here!" Except for the one. There's one that went through there, but otherwise, for sprinkling that, I think where I used that the most was on the top of the inner covers to try and deter ants up in that area there. So I just wanted to share that little bit of bizarre trivia there. Is Hannah going to go get axle grease for you?
Yes, sir.
Or as Chris would put it, technically it would be ankle grease.
That's right.
So anyways,
You better watch it.
oh yeah, I get slapped down pretty good, and actually my Siamese will probably beat her to it. But
She taking our old Jasper outside, calm his tail down a second. But go ahead.
No, what'd you say?
Well, I have to wait for her to get back in, but kind of, I guess, go back around on some of those medicinal uses on the bee sting. Like I said, I had to talk to her, make sure I can share this story. But
Please do.
it's, if you're a believer and we know the good Lord has put things here for us to use and to utilize. And whether some of them may be just something out of an old pine tree, like we're talking about, to put on for a scrape or a cut, or a bee sting to alleviate symptoms from, that's it, different health issues. And it's kind of hard not to tell y'all than tell y'all type thing, but she'll be back in here in a few minutes. Lord willing, she'll let me.
Well, I'm going to screw with you right now, Tim. How many times is honey, wax, or bees mentioned in the Bible?
Honey is mentioned over 60 times in the Bible. Bees.
No, the pharaohs had them.
Or on the bees.
Okay, that's a funny one. Because I actually have seen the hieroglyphic prints. The royalty, and it was reserved for royalty in Egypt. They would circumcise them. And I remember seeing one. Oh, thank you, Lee. He just named the different cinnamons there. Thank you so much. They have this royalty guy, and he's had his wiener trimmed, and there's a guy on his knees applying honey to the tip of his wiener as an antibiotic. Mm-hmm. And that's a glyph. That's there. And they did that. They were using it. I think maybe it was Randall Carlson that was running through that. Some of the interesting hieroglyphs that, and actually they're not glyphs, they're pictorials. But the stuff that, we just don't realize. So the Egyptians were using it. Now, who else was using honey beforehand? Who knows?
Mm.
But it's run through the Bible and so on and so forth. And heck yeah. Yeah. The good Lord has put a lot of stuff down here for us to use. Just even simple things like bees are mentioned 4 times. Lee is such a wonderful resource. This is great.
Like an encyclopedia.
Can we?
Oh, yeah.
That Google works great, don't it?
Yeah. And what he doesn't know, he dives in. God bless him. But the Egyptians used honey after surgery. Yeah, of course they would if they were doing it on circumcisions. Yeah, great point, DC. So, anyways, did y'all have a good Father's Day?
Yeah, I hope everybody did. I ain't no Paul yet, so we just kind of sat around. She threw some ribs in the crock pot, and we had a good little supper a few minutes ago before we got on here. But hoping everybody else did from talking to
Yeah, I
everybody.
harvest honey.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So
My kids are taking me out tomorrow.
Great. No, all my family's out, so I missed it. But I had a friend of mine come up here and take me fishing on my lake, and that was a wonderful treat. That really was, and I got a good sunburn, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I noticed your forehead was a little redder than normal.
Oh yeah, and I had my pith helmet on too, and then I had sunscreen on my face, and then today after church it was, hey, let's finish painting all those hive boxes. So I'm like, okay, that's just crazy. Good if okay. He mentioned that concoction that you made. What was that?
That's a really good question.
It was just something we threw together.
I can't believe he enjoyed it that much, honestly, because that was the second time I had made that stuff. And literally, we just went in there one night. It was like, look, I don't want to go to the grocery store. Start digging through the cabinets. This is what I got. And I threw it all together. And that's what it turned out to be. But it worked out.
It was kind of the best way to explain it was a mix from a dip and an etouffee. The easiest way, I guess, to explain it.
It was supposed to be a dip, but it turned out like an etouffee.
Well, we threw. Shoot, she got some rice together, and we threw some rice on it. And buddy, you talking about make your tongue slap your eyes out? I mean,
come on! Well, Lee just said he made a double batch of it today, so.
Yeah, he sent him a picture of the pot on the stove.
Oh, did he?
I wish I could figure out how to do that and show y'all the picture, but yeah, the man, he had a double pot of it cooked. So told him, said, "Don't you hurt yourself."
Oh, well, he was pretty enthused about it. What was that? Southeastern Colorado hives there? Yeah, we've done the same thing here with foot injuries with diabetics. Yeah, screw all this other stuff. Put the honey on. Don't mess with it. It's a Chris thing. But Chris, can I ask you what were you doing? You were extracting honey today?
Yeah, I went to my hives and took out 9 frames. Then I took off all my excluders, queen excluders, so the rest of the honey is going to be for the bees for the rest of the year. Yeah. Since the flow is going to start slowing down here, even though I got plenty of flowers around here. I mean, I don't even know what they are. They look like baby breaths.
Really?
But they're everywhere in our ditches. Since I live in a neighborhood that people don't like to mow their ditches, so I let them say, "Cool, grow the flowers."
Do it. Yeah, by all means.
But my bees have been bringing on bunches and bunches. Still, they're avoiding. They're not even going to my feeder that I have out there. That tells me that there's enough nectar out there that they don't need to go to the feeder.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's even better.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's even better news, knowing they hitting the natural stuff and you ain't having to take and put that feed out for them.
Well, my mentor specifically says leave the feed out there all year round, especially down here in the south, because it might be 30 degrees one day, then 60 degrees the next day, even in the wintertime. So, and if once it gets 55 degrees, the bees are out flying.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's probably how my bees made it through the winter last year, because once winter hits, you're not supposed to put liquid up inside the hive, for
Yeah.
feeding them during the winter. So I just pour straight sugar, and I
Yeah.
let the moisture from the hive, the humidity, to crystallize it. So they eat that all winter long. So
That's pretty.
Yeah, and I do sugar block, and
it's
put up.
basically the same thing, but if you just put sugar in one of those round trays up there,
Mm-hmm.
their moisture will actually crystal or make it
Yes.
harden.
Well, that
Yeah.
wouldn't take but just a couple hours for us down here as far as the
Right.
humidity.
That's the way our bees are.
Having that humidity.
So
Mhm.
I've got a robber alarm. I actually tried to bring it up on my phone here. I was sitting on my back porch, and I've got some supers out there, and some of them have got full deeps of honey in them, and that is my robber alarm. So I will see like an occasional bee come up to it or whatever. But as soon as there's a hard dearth, then they're going to hit that really good, and that's when I'll put my sugar syrup out. So it's kind of yeah, I've never heard of anybody doing that. Everybody just immediately extracts the honey, but I was looking at those boxes and I'm stacking up all these supers, and I'm like, I'm gonna leave those frames in there, and oh
Just
yeah,
see what happens. Yeah.
yeah. So it's my robber alarm. So
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. That way you can sure enough know, okay, we in a dirt type thing.
yeah. So let them rob that instead of go to the weaker hives. I'm sure they'll do both, but yeah. I wonder where Mark Miller is tonight.
Right there.
He says hi to you guys.
He just came on.
Hopefully the
so-
man was able to be home, not on the road.
Yeah. Chris, your
But-
mentor is Sam?
No. That's Bob's.
Okay.
My mentor is Mitch. He's down here in Charleston, South Carolina. He has, I don't know, a little over 3,000 hives, and he owns his own business, and he holds classes once a month. And he's been doing bees for 47 years now.
So he's an amateur.
Yeah.
A really prolific amateur. What a wonderful thing.
And at first he laughed when I went to him and said, "Hey, I want to be a bee person." He just laughed. He goes, "Have you ever done bees?" I said, "Nope."
There you go.
Now this year, he's bragging to other people. He's like, other people that have come up there and calls me up, "Hey, Chris." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "These people over here need help with their bees. Can you go over and help them?"
That can make you feel good.
I'm
What a
like,
wonderful thing.
okay.
Yeah. That's absolutely wonderful there. Gotta like that. Man alive. So are you permanently pulling your honey supers now? Is that what's going on?
No, I haven't pulled them. I just pulled out the the queen excluders.
Queen excluder? Okay.
So the queens can go out there and lay in because what I do when I extract the honey, I put those frames back into the supers so the bees can clean them up. And if the queen wants to go up there and lay in, put, eggs up there, that's fine because it just builds up the hive better.
Okay.
Give me more bees for the winter.
Yeah.
Give me a reminder, my friend. We need to get one again this year.
A salt block?
Salt block, yeah.
Okay.
We put one out and love that little rascal like he's talking about. Yeah, the deer loved it. But you go out there and you see them bees out there chewing on it throughout the day as well.
No kidding.
Yeah, I never thought about that part. I seen go to the people with the saltwater pools that we have around here.
Okay.
They do go to them. So
Yeah, we
I'll talk to my mentor, see what he says about that. Because our weather down here is different than all of everybody else's. So you got to do what your climate is for. So
Yeah. Beekeeping is regional. That's my catchphrase. Just kind
yep.
of run with that one.
And what works for me ain't gonna work for somebody else. So
I am really curious about that though, because I remember Fred Dunn was doing something about that. Putting all different types of water out there. Some had salt in it and so on. Yeah, trial by fire. Yeah, absolutely. So what I have done, I have 4 fountains in my backyard here. Well, and one of them that's on the deck, I keep chlorinated, and one of that's in my back hosta garden, I let that go, and and it's very interesting to see what the bees will do, because sometimes, well, for kind of a lot, I got my lake is right there, and then I got a bog behind here and a swamp over there. It's just I'm in the kind of in the Minnesota version of a bayou. But in the fall, they will come in and they will start chewing on the algae on the hive or the fountains that's in the shade. And I've moved that thing. I put it in a couple different locations, and something's in there that they really like. I've seen bee using what is a dirt from the deer's. Yeah, yeah. It's that's kind of like bees will. I know it's with brandywine mushrooms. God, what was his name? John Stammet? No, the mushroom guy. He had some brandywine mushrooms in his backyard, in his garden, and the bees were uncovering the roots or the mycelium, and they were feeding on those things, which led to a whole different branch of discovery. Washington State University did some deep research into that, but just to see where they go and get what they do. If we have the room, I would think it'd just behoove us to offer what we can, So just a rambling thought there. Sorry about that.
oh yeah, I mean we picked up on what drew us to the salt of any kind of feeding them, putting a feed, if you will, out of nothing but we use sea salt. But in that Foxfire book, one of the Foxfire editions, there's a portion in there about beekeeping, how them old folks in the Appalachians kept them bees in them old gum trees and some of their little tricks to the trade. And one of the stories in there was them old timers would take and get them old dry corn cobs, mix them up some salt water, and either set them corn cobs in a bowl or soak them and put them close to wherever them little gum, I'm gonna say gum hives, or just old stump hives is what it was. They had them
Okay.
in them black gum, and we tried it, y'all, last year, and it really blew our mind how much they drew to it. We was taking dry pieces of corn cob, and I'd mix up a good tablespoon of sea salt and some spring water, and made it, diluted it down, whatever, got it all mixed up, and soaked them corn cobs for about 5 minutes in that salt water. And I just broke off pieces of that old corn cob big enough to stick on the landing board. And y'all, it wouldn't take but just a few seconds. And you talk about whatever bees was just hanging out, coming home for the day. I'd go out there at nighttime with a flashlight and shine down, and you'd have 40, 50 bees constantly all over those pieces of corn cob, drawing that salt out of it. That's part of that micronutrient. We see them pulling when we see them in a mud hole, or like you talking about on that algae, whatever the micronutrient is in that particular, whether it's salt or the algae or just dirt, they draw in some type of nutrient out of it. But Dirt Rooster talked, I think one of his last videos, and you see him in years past in his videos to the old water fountain he's got, kind of like you. It's just an old water fountain that sits out back, and that thing runs, I guess, 24/7, and the bees, they come get their water off of it. But the bees are on the algae side, pulling the water off that side from what he notices more. They're not so much on the clean side. And I guess that algae is creating some type of micronutrient, or it's catching nutrients from, I guess, whether particles in the air or whatever a bird may bring in. I don't know on those ends, but it,
Yes, maybe, but we're under the general assumption here that bees only take in two things, right? Nectar and pollen.
mm-hmm.
That's a bunch of crap.
You right? Yes, sir.
I'm trying to be polite. Sorry.
You're good.
Uh, so I have put out mineral blocks before. I'm gonna thanks. I have some sweet corn here. I can get some dry cobs. I'm gonna play with that. That sounds really interesting.
I mean, you brother, you will be surprised. Let that cob soak a good. I mean, I just did it maybe 5 minutes, long enough you know it absorbed real
Yeah.
good. And,
Well,
and
the
go
funny
stick it out there.
Yeah, the other thing about the corn cob is that it does contain sugar, and it does contain protein. So if you get sugar, protein, and some salt, and they're I mean, to me, it sounds like a buffet.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I really like that.
Well, for what I was reading, now please go back and do your research if this piques of any kind of interest for you. You know,
Yeah.
that type thing. But from what I was reading, the salt intake will help the brood and help produce more brood in a dearth. Now, go in and, like I say, go do the research on it and get the finer details of all of it. But the long story short, from what I was gathering, all of it, that it does help in some point in the production of brood, and especially during a dearth.
I think you've just kind of inspired me there, Tim. On the boxes that I have the honey supers exposed, or the frames, I'm going to put a bowl of salt water up there. Break up some corn cobs and put in there, and just see what when that robbing frenzy goes in. Just see what they do. But
Now,
I
I
will
think
go
Rodney
ahead.
Middleton,
Yeah.
I think it was Rodney Middleton and I believe another gentleman named Michael Fike that uh, chats with us quite a bit. And one of them two took an old piece of carpet and kind of done like how we feed in the mason jars, from what
Oh,
I was
okay.
understanding,
Yeah.
and take that jar and turn it upside down on that old piece of carpet and let that salt water weep down into that carpet, and they come in and draw off that too. So there's people out there doing it, just nobody's really concentrating on it. The only talk that we hear of it is, well, my bees are getting in so and so saltwater swimming pool.
Why not? Why not? No, I think um, that's probably a okay. So here's another mystery for you as far as bees are concerned. Um, I've been using chlorine. Uh, oh man, how's that work out? For about a 5-gallon batch, I put in 2 tablespoons of syrup, and uh, I actually wrote to, I can't remember if it's Dr. Umberto and Ian Stepler, and I said, have you guys ever heard anything at all about chlorine in the syrup and bee gut health? And there's been no research as far as I know about that. Now, we had a swimming pool over here, and it was one of my neighbors, God bless them, they were wonderful. they had this, you know, these big inflatable pools
Mm.
and all these river rocks around it. Well, a friend of mine, this is many years ago before I got into it, he had beehives down on the edge of the bog, and all of his bees would come up and they would be, you know, sapping of the splash out on the rocks. There'd be thousands of bees surrounding that pool, and they just laugh. They say, "That's just Kim Thompson's bees," but they were really going after that.
Mm. They
And
call it mint salt.
yeah, it was just, you know, it was just one of those things. It's chlorinated water. You know, chlorine is a salt, so I mean, I'm not equating the two at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just interesting to see what kind of odd purposes for. Bob Binney actually talked about it once. If you were trying to keep the bees out of your neighbor's swimming pool, you put up a sprinkler in between the two, like one of these band sprinklers. He says, yeah, that makes a barrier, and then they lose interest. But
My mentor mentioned if your bees are coming out and you notice you got all that bee poop everywhere because they got the run,
yeah,
chlorine water will cure that in a heartbeat.
see, that's what I'm looking for there.
Well, I mean, doesn't I have to go back and look on this one too? But Bruce's bees, all right, down here in
He had that
Alabama,
issue. Yep.
doesn't he? Maybe somebody in the chat can answer this for sure for us, or I don't even know if the man's watching, but if he is, he adds a little bit of bleach. I'm gonna say about a capful or so of bleach to his sugar water. I think it
Yep.
is.
That's what we're talking about.
Mm.
And it
So
cures the runs or what you said, gut rot. Especially you guys up there in the north, because you guys bees are shut up for a while, so they hold that for a long time.
They really do. In fact, you got to be careful when you're feeding them pollen sub. We used to put pollen sub patties on the top of the hives, and the strong. Uh, they were great, but if there's any trace of nosema or something's going on, or they weren't fed right, they go to those pollen patties instead of their honey. Or if their honey's runs out, we had a bunch of starve outs here this year. I mean, a bunch of them. So they will go in there, and then you really get constipated bees with poop all over on the inside of the hive and everything else. So in the fall now, I even have my commercial beekeeper friend on the other side of the lake. He's, you know, come on, put bleach in your sugar syrup. You know, if nothing else, you don't have to clean your buckets out as much. You're not going through as much syrup. So I'm really glad you shared that, Chris. Thank you very, very much. It's the kind of information we're looking for, right?
mm. Well, I mean, this is just me talking. Me and her have these discussions quite a bit on different, I guess, the topics in beekeeping whenever we're chit chatting it, whether homework or wherever. But I think oftentimes we complicate it whenever it's so simple because it's just too much information overload, this and that, and chicken fat. And if we would kind of, like I say, this is just me again. If we would kind of go back and look and see, okay, the old timers done it way before we come out with any kind of this technology or new ways. They had simple little deals. They had salt. They had, you know, whatever it was, type thing. A little bit of chlorine or bleach laid around to remedy an issue.
Yeah.
I believe if we would, Jeremy, keep dropping you, bud, coming in. My bad, but Queen Bees was trying to come in, but keep dropping. I think if we would kind of just go back to the basics and fundamentals on a lot of it, that it wouldn't be such a cluster in a lot of ways. Okay, we know this natural way worked. We know this natural way worked. So why not use those versus using a chemical based on
Honestly,
things?
honestly, a lot of it has to do with. I'll give you a phenomenal here. Um, Originally, communication in the United States was done by people moving from tavern to tavern and carrying word. And somebody'd write out a booklet, they'd put that out, and then the newspapers came, and people started moving the newspapers. Then the radio came, and I had a newspaper publisher explain this to me. And then we started going to listening to the radio for the news, and then television came out. Now there's internet, and it's been a progression. So we moved to the latest and greatest, forsaking some past information. So that's really well put. I remember a conversation with my grandpa when he was just getting ready to move off the farm after 80 years. He looked out the field and he says, I wish that all the pesticides and herbicides they told us to put down with the field the amount. He says, there's no way I would have done that over again. I wouldn't use that much. And, they were just out there cultivating. That's their way that we're dealing with stuff and spreading manure. Jeremy, hi. Are you in California or Texas?
I'm in Texas.
That's what it is. Okay. We've never met face to face before.
Yes, sir.
Pretty warm down there, huh?
110 tomorrow for the next few days.
Wow. Okay. How dry are you?
This year we've had more rain than we've ever had. We've probably had like 8 inches of rain so far this year. So last year we had less than that for the entire year. So
8 inches for the year?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
One day.
That's a lot for us.
Yeah,
So-
we had almost 8 inches in the last week and a half.
Yes.
Literally.
Right. Yeah, so I lived in Georgia and eastern Alabama border the past 5 years until this past year. So I hated it out there with the rain so much, but
Man, I mean,
Now you miss it, right?
right.
I think our average for the year is about 5 to 6 feet of rain in
Yeah,
the
so
year.
I think last year we got 7 inches of rain total for the year. And right now we're around 8.5 for the year. So that's good for us.
That's wild.
I mean,
That gets y'all through and everything, though, huh?
I mean, the bees, they're a lot meaner out here, but they are resilient. They're pretty, they find pollen. They find, it's considered a desert out here, but I've already harvested 300 pounds and probably have another 700-800 pounds on the colonies right now.
Wonderful.
And we have another, we're having a second mesquite bloom right now. And then I start cotton in less than a month. I go to irrigated cotton fields and I'll get 1,000 pounds easily from that as well. So,
Oh, for crying out loud.
That's amazing with that little bit.
oh yeah.
Philip put something in there. Saying asking somebody from California if they are in Texas is always a good bet, Mike.
Guys, I gotta go. I got a phone call.
Take
All
care.
right, take it easy.
Oh,
All right.
Love it. God bless. We'll see you.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I reckon. I guess morning time, as far as moisture out there, I guess they would pull whatever is off. Maybe a dew. Yeah.
I guess so. So we struggle with a lot of wind out here, a lot of hot days. I think today was the coldest day for the week, and it's supposed to be 102 today. The rest is 110, 108, 107, 109. I mean,
How do you handle it?
I don't. I mean, just kind of. There's not really humidity, so it's a dry heat more than anything.
Yeah.
But whenever I do work the bees, when it gets this hot, I start at 5:30 in the morning, right at sunrise.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that. Lord, man.
No, my grandpa, when he was farming, and he would work with, they're basically Clydesdales, and he would get up at about 3, 4 in the morning and go out and do what they could do.
Right.
And then as soon as the sun was up, he'd walk them into the river and just let them stand in the river for about an hour, and then put them in the shed, in the barn, in the shade. That was it. In a story. So
yeah, it's kind of hard for me because, with the resources being so thin out here, I don't like to put more than 10 to 12 colonies in a yard. So right now I have 7 yards and I got to drive.
You got to bounce.
I do.
Yeah.
So
That'd be
Yeah.
a job in itself. We talked about, just doing some out yards in the beginning.
Right.
Oh, it'd be cool to have, 10 colonies over here and however many over there. But then the
He wants to
reality,
go after work.
nah. Whenever I get home from work, that's it, brother. I
Oh,
come
yeah.
through the door.
This summer, he's done. He's not going back out in the heat.
Yeah, when I was in Georgia, Alabama, commercial beekeepers out there run 100 to a yard, or at least 60, 40 to 60 to a yard easily. I used to have them in my front yard or on the side, and I'd rather do it like that, where I know I got to split here or check on this, or I start seeing them acting different over here. I could tend to them, but now I got them, 15 minutes that direction, 15 minutes that direction, 15 minutes that direction. I just go out there. This year, I've tried to be a little bit less hands-on, and for the most part, that's been good. Trying to go every 2 weeks, do a more in-depth check on them. But ever since, I've run single brood management, and ever since I put the queen excluder on, I haven't been in the brood chambers since March. And I know one colony was super strong. I used it as a resource colony, made a bunch of splits, got them to draw 3 more deeps because I run all deeps. They drew a lot of comb, and I did check the other day. I was popping to see what honey I could rob, and I noticed there wasn't a lot of bees. They weren't capping it, so I did go to the brood chamber in that, and they filled 3 deeps. They drew it out, filled it with nectar, and then the bottom deep they did swarm off. I didn't manage it good enough. I should have added a 5th deep to them.
Oh, yeah.
But it's weird to say that from West Texas, but we actually had wildflowers here. They're finally dying from the heat. But we had wildflowers until now, which is crazy.
That is wonderful.
Yes, sir.
And it's also nice that you've got yards that are only 15 minutes away. I mean, that's...
Well, I've got some bees on watermelons and 2 hours away. I've got things.
Oh, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. By the way, does watermelon honey taste any different at all? No.
So this is my first real time on melons, but they say usually they don't make enough nectar to store it.
Oh,
They say usually
okay.
it's just enough to get them by. But this field is going to be around cotton, so I need to add seconds on them. I just took a whole bunch of nooks to build up into singles. So now I'll start feeding. I need to harvest all the honey so I can start feeding and getting them to draw more comb. So my big thing this year, I've had at least 50 deeps of drawn comb this year for the bees they've drawn out this year. And
wonderful.
The way I do it, I do single brood chamber, feed early, get them to build. That second deep becomes a first brood honey super. And then once I still everything, I push them back down to a single, give them a new box of foundations. They draw that out since they're overcrowded. And then I get a good nectar flow for fall as well with the cotton. So I'll get them to draw another set of boxes. And then at the end, do the same thing, get them to draw another set of boxes in 10 days. And
so you got yourself into a rotation draw out rotation. That's fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Jeremy, here's my question, brother. With 8 inches of rain in Texas, how in the world are they growing watermelon?
So it'd be irrigated land. It'd be
I got you. Okay.
Same thing for cotton. So last year was my first year out here keeping bees, and dry land cotton, it's everywhere. But of course, with no rain, the insurance claim said, hey, y'all gotta, file that field back up for insurance. So the only places I had that had cotton last year was irrigated cotton. Now this year, with the rain that we've been getting, they may be able to have dry land cotton this year, but it's nothing compared to the irrigated areas. But same thing with melons. Further west Texas, they actually have some sandy, I guess the dirt there, the soil is real sandy, and they actually supposedly have some of the best melons, whether it's honeydew melons, cantaloupe. They have what they call Pecos. It's in Pecos, Texas, which is 3 hours west of me, and they have some of the best melons for that. And I guess that's what Texas Beekeeper said. Yeah, watermelons this year aren't as sweet because of so much rain, and so I guess if we have less rain, it's more sweet. I'm not sure.
Yeah, grapes are
Yeah,
the same
I'm
way.
not
It's the
green.
ones I've grown. That's interesting. That makes sense.
But Gunline, I don't know y'all's. I'm trying to get everybody's name. I'm sorry.
Don't
What
Yep.
are
worry.
y'all
Tim
names?
and Hannah.
Say it
Tim and
again.
Hannah.
Tim,
Tim and
And
Hannah.
Hannah.
Hannah. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to send y'all some mesquite honey. I know I told y'all. I need to get y'all's information, Mike. If you want some too to try it out.
No, that's fine. I really, really, really appreciate the thought. I'd love to send you some of my ghost pepper honey, but no, it'd be fun down the road. But we'll put that out for winter activity when
Right.
we're not doing anything.
Right.
So that's God bless you. That's wonderful. We've
Yeah.
had in the last 2 months here, we've had 1 inch of rain, and I don't even know if it's an inch. So if it wasn't for all the bogs, the swamps, and my lake, I don't really know what. I have no idea where the heck this stuff is coming from.
Right.
I mean, I really don't. It's just. Was it 2 years ago when we had a pretty good drought? Not nearly as bad as this. I think the bees were actually going into this wildlife refuge. It's 1 mile and a quarter to my east, and I think they were actually bringing in honeydew because it was really, really dark, and it was just, oh my God, it was phenomenal. But what do? You got the little flowers down there, and it's really interesting. Welcome to the life of being a farmer, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's just crazy crap. And I hear some of the tales of the guys up here that were doing them in the Dust Bowl in the 30s. People are talking about our weather being just crazy. It's like we've got no concept.
Right. Yeah. See, we actually get dust storms out here. You'll see the clouds of dust come in, and
rolling.
It'll be literally orange. You can't see. You'll get weather advisories for visibility because of the dust, and we're in the desert. I mean, West Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to deal with what you got to deal with there. So it's just, but mesquite honey, that's really okay. I'm gonna put that on my Christmas list, Jeremy.
So it's not like everybody thinks where it's going to taste like a smoky flavor. It's actually from the mesquite brush.
Yes.
It's rich in flavor, not as sweet as a wildflower, but crystallizes really quick. That's a bad thing about here is our honey crystallizes within 2 months, whether it's cotton or mesquite. So it's kind of hard out here for that.
So how do you do with that with the bees overwintering? Do you harvest everything you can and then feed them back with sugar syrup?
So I harvest. I run single brood chamber for everything. So I harvest everything. Last year, when I harvested cotton honey Labor Day in September, I gave them a new box of empty foundations. I have a video on my page. I don't try on my page. I just throw whatever I have on there. But
put a link up to your channel there when you think of it.
Okay, I'll do that here in a second. I give them a box. They still had a little bit of flow, and within 10 days, they drew it out and were already filling up that super. So I pretty much could have got another super if I wanted, but I gave that to them, and it crystallizes, and it becomes pretty much granulated sugar. And over the winter and early spring, they consumed it all. But it's so hot here in wintertime. I'm feeding liquid in December. I'm feeding, it's still 60s, 70s. Maybe we had 2 weeks, around 30 degrees this year, but that was our winter. I hunt in shorts and then get a little bit, and that's it.
I love it. I love it. If we saw somebody out here hunting in shorts in December, we'd send out a search party.
Right.
Really?
So it's just kind of a fun thing there. But so I know Ian Stepler, he goes and gets the. Somebody was asking why he didn't overwinter everything in doubles. He says, well, number one, I don't have the room, but number two, if I don't harvest all the doubles, that's a $50,000 loss on my income. So I was talking to Russell Cooperman about this year, and I think what we're going to do is that when we Probably it's going to vary a lot depending upon what we're going to see here. We're actually going to extract the secondary. We would normally leave the second super for their feed. So what we're talking about doing is extracting that honey out of that second super and then putting it right back on and then filling up with sugar syrup. So they've got less roughage in their diet.
Right.
It's 20 degrees out. If there's a sunny day, I'll see bees flying out to poop. But, so we're just going to try and mess with that. But you say down there they don't have any problem at all eating the crystallized honey, but you're putting water out for them too?
No. As far as water, luckily here in town, we have a river. And it's not a flowing river. It's dammed on both ends. So we actually have 3 lakes and a river. One is spring fed, and then when that overflows, it goes to the rich neighborhoods. They'll keep it at 100% level, so they have water up to. Then when that overflows, that goes into the river. But for the most part, some people have stock ponds for their cattle. We have a lot of cattle out here, agriculture. You'll have little stock ponds here and there, little creek beds. Most of the time it's dry, but bees are. I don't baby bees like I used to. Some people say, hey, you got to give them whatever. You got to have a water source. They're going to find it. I mean, if they could live, most of all my colonies are from removals besides the splits I make. But if they could survive in a house, they could survive in a bee box, So.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Without no care, no help for
right, exactly. And
a lot of
the ones here, they'll have stored honey like no other. And I'll go do a removal, and last year I had one that was like 8. It was like a whole 4x8 sheet of plywood under a chicken coop, and I filled up a big old gray tote trash can, and I could deadlift. That was when I was working out, and I could deadlift 500 pounds. But this was probably every 250 to almost 300 pounds. Trying to get that into the bed of my truck, it was almost impossible. I mean, they could store honey out here. And that's the thing. These mean bees, they're very aggressive, but mites, I treated for mites last in maybe January with just 1 shot of oxalic, and I haven't since. I need a harvest so I could at least shoot them 1 time, but you really don't treat these. You don't bring them around people either because they're very aggressive, but they fend for themselves pretty good.
That's really interesting. No, man, my other concern about hot bees is if some people have, like pets, enclosed pets or chickens in coops or whatever.
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of Africanized genetics. Now, I wouldn't say 100%, but we have a percentage which makes them more aggressive. But also, I'd be pissed too living in 110 degree weather, scared of food. I'm going to be protective over all my stuff, but I get calls all the time from the fire department. People get sent to the hospital. A couple years ago, some people died. We do have a dog or a horse killed every once in a while out here, but that's just because a lot of people are mowing or something, and or they cut down a tree and there's a colony in there, and they don't know what to do, and they still try to go into the general area. Leave the area because these ones will chase you a good half mile easily, and so it's usually a big scene. The city tries to make it seem they blocked off 3 blocks, blah blah blah. People were attacked, and so it's a bad name on us. But I'm actually the president of the Bee Club out here, so what we're trying to do all together is try to be more active in the community to say, hey, they're just wild bees, and they're okay if you know what to do. Call someone, you see something right away. It's better to get it removed as soon as possible before they grow into something huge, and then all of a sudden it's an emergency. And people, you know how people are. So
yeah, no, that's Jeremy. In all fairness, I've only dealt with one hot hive in my life.
Okay.
And when those things would go, I'd be like, that's like, run to the lake. And I found is that all you need to do is go to the back door of the cabin and walk in the kitchen, and right away they can't see where the heck the sun is. They all go to the windows. They leave me alone for some reason,
Right.
and they run to the windows. And that was the way I dealt with them. But I mean,
Yeah, the ones here are kind of on suicide missions. If I mess with them, walk by them, my pants, there's most of the time I just wear a jacket and then pants. But the time of years when I know they start acting fussy, I wear a hose suit because my pants will literally have 1,000 stingers, and I could drive. I could walk away, run away. I usually jump in my truck, turn the AC on with my windows down, and drive. And they're still in there, pissed off at me. But my pants would be,
Sorry to laugh.
I'd be stung through my pants like crazy. And it's like their whole mission is saying, "You're the bad guy. I'm going to kill you, even if I kill myself doing it." So
That's it. Neutralize the threat.
right.
Yep.
Bottom line, eh?
Hey, them guys, just a helpful little hint for them guys and them fire departments. You're talking about Africanized tendencies or whether you have true Africanized hives. And say if you're called to come control this event that's going on, you got several people getting stung and they can't get away or get out, and the fire department gets there. Tell them guys, most of these new fire trucks have inland fuel foam cells. Okay.
They'll kill them. They'll kill them all.
In those foam cells, a lot of the guys, if you're in a city and municipality, oftentimes they keep the foam cell full of something. But a lot of your volunteers, they keep the foam cell empty until you get on scene, or oftentimes you'll have an attachment that hooks up just right there on the side of the truck.
Right.
Where I'm going with this, regular dish soap, they may have to get a couple gallons of it now to justify the foam cell, but the call, if they get one for that, tell them to fill that foam cell up with dishwashing liquid. Whenever they turn that attack line on, whether it's a booster reel or just a normal 1 3/4 attack, tell them to put it in a foam pattern and to shoot it as an umbrella.
Right.
Did
And
you
walk
get all
in.
that, Jared?
Yeah, you get all that. But
Yeah. So these fire department, they're pretty good. They get calls. I've probably had 4 calls in the past 2 months from them. Usually, I'm either out of town or at work, and they're good at isolating the incident and pulling the people out because they all have bells and everything. They know, from experience, this stuff happens. So they kind of clear the area. We'll block off a couple blocks, and then they call us and say, "Hey, can you help us pinpoint where they're coming from? Are they under a shed? This, that? Can we go ahead and remove them? To actually neutralize it the proper way, because they're just going to be spraying foam everywhere. Wherever that person's mowing and they came out of the side of the shed, they're just going to spray the outside. They still have to get the colony, whether it's in the walls, underneath the ground. And they're pretty smart for the most part on getting people away, trying to block it off, letting them calm down. The thing is, you have people out here, they're like, there's bees out here. They try to find them, or they're still working in the backyard while they're getting stung. It's just like, hey, give them some space, let them calm down, and then, reevaluate the situation and see, what can we do. But you've got people that just don't even care. So,
well, another good trick that works too to locating that, doing that, is I imagine oftentimes y'all have fire and police there,
we have what?
like the fire department and law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell that fire department to send law enforcement in first. Have them find it, get back with us, and we'll come take care of it.
Great
Right.
idea. You think you're being serious?
I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking. That's what we would. If we said that around here, that's like if we had a hazmat or something like that around here, we'd tell them, so, well, you deputies go first, and we'll come in, and when y'all start dropping, we know that's where we need to stop.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second.
Oh man. Say, Jeremy, I was just on your website. I love your bee flag T-shirt.
Which one?
The American flag with honeybees.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I love that thing. I
Yeah,
want
my
one of
kids
those.
got me this one today. It says
So what do you got?
the Bee Dad. Oh, you can't see it. I got this. Let me take this off. But well, happy Father's Day if y'all are parents, by the way.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day to you too.
Yes, sir.
Let me see here.
But where did you get that shirt?
Amazon.
Really?
Amazon. So they got me this one today, the Bee Dad.
I love it.
It's a phone on there, so I was pretty neat.
Yeah, it's just oh no, that's you guys, y'all gotta go to his website and look at his photos and take a look at his other shirt there. It's a horizontal American flag with honeybees as part of it. So it's
Yeah, I have a lot of flag shirts, little grunt style shirts and stuff like that.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
If I knew how to do it on the cell phone without knocking everybody off here, I'd try to bring it up, but my luck, I'll end the conversation right here.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to take off here. I'm going to go and sandblast some of this paint off.
All right, Mike.
Really funny. It's nice to meet you there, Jeremy.
Yes,
and Tim and Hannah. Grand thing. You know?
Yes, sir. Thank you much.
See you later, Mike.
Yeah, I'll take care. And yeah, I'll have to I look forward to seeing you all again.
Good deal. Yes, sir.
Right, take care.
Okay. God bless. Bye-bye.
What part of Alabama are y'all in?
We're just north of Mobile.
Mobile, okay. That's way down there. So my mother-in-law's in Gulf Shores, or Foley. So we've been wanting to, we're trying to figure out about moving back, whether we're going to, I think I told y'all last time either. She's originally from Franklin, Monroeville, and her mom's, or my mother, soon-to-be mother-in-law is in Gulf Shores area. But before I was in Phoenix City, Columbus area, and then Middle Georgia before that. So we're trying to transition back. But if I do that, I got to sell all my stuff to get back to Alabama, since Alabama doesn't let you bring bees in on the comb.
No, you can bring them in them packages, but they don't want that comb coming across that line.
Right. So,
well,
and I don't like the aggressiveness. So I'd rather sell everything and then start from scratch, buy a whole bunch. So,
well,
ours aren't that aggressive over here.
No, thank goodness. We been tinkering around with this little. Man, I got the idea off some old fella's YouTube channel that does I think it's catfishing or a bunch of fishing, but he made an old homemade barometer, just some water and food coloring. And I don't know, we put that little deal together probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and actually trying to study it to see which are the best times to go out there and fool with them bees.
Right.
And man, surprising from what we have figured out watching that rascal, the days that we think that we shouldn't be getting into the bees,
Since you're slacking.
I'm sorry, letting Ed in here now. My bad, Jeremy.
No, you're good.
But what say, Ed?
Doing all right.
We doing good, bud. Where was I at?
The barometer. You said the days you think you shouldn't go out there.
She wasn't even listening. But man, we've been going off that barometer, and I know. I mean, we've done it for a long time too, but don't go into the bees when it's so cloudy and those type things. And man, going off this barometer, we have pretty well, for the most part, nailed down the best times to get into the bees. Because whenever it's at a certain level, go out there and y'all, it can be cloudy and fixing to rain in about 45 minutes. But if it's at that certain mark, they're just as gentle as they can be.
Yeah, my thing is I can't sit around. It's either I have time or I don't. So they're either going to be happy or they're going to hate me. So
Sounds like the bunch you dealing with, they ain't gonna be happy
Yeah, no
none.
matter what. Actually,
No.
so I did buy some queens from California last year, just a handful of them. They're doing good. I did buy 48 nooks for the bee club out here. I drove almost all the way to Louisiana to get them. So it was like 7.5 hours that way, picked them up, drove back that same night. But I kept 3 of those, and I actually grafted from them, super calm bees. And I just checked today, shorts and a shirt. I was able to go through the nooks with my newly mated queens, and they were calm as well, even in 102-degree weather. So the genetics are slowly passing on, and I need to do another set of grafts and then pinch all my aggressive queens and introduce new queens. But I've just been so busy trying to stay away from doing bees all the time like I want to. So
Well, how many are you running total between your out yards and?
I probably have around 50 to 55 right now.
Yeah, Lord, yeah, you can't sit around and wait. There's no kind of nothing. It's either get out there and do it or.
And I want to make 40 splits, but then I have to have enough equipment for 40 more colonies. I'm just I don't know if I want to make bottom boards, lids. I got enough boxes, but it's too much.
Well,
We're our 5th kid is in the oven, and
Wow.
full-time job and the bee club and trying to do farmers markets on the weekends and whatever. It's
So y'all just don't sleep at all.
no, I don't.
Lord, yeah, that's a job, and you got just a regular daytime job, right?
I work about a 60-hour week for the most part, Monday through Friday for the most part.
Yeah, you're a busy man. That's for sure. Well, Ed, how's things over there in the Dothan area?
Well, we had a little bit of a rough storm today. I was trying to pull honey, and they got a little bit nasty with me today because it was getting ready to rain. Like you talking about the barometric pressure, it must have had something to do with that.
I saw
And
the thing. You took a whole bunch of stings today.
yeah, I took 10 today. Wasn't really too bad. It's just that they just got a little nasty. They wouldn't get out of the supers, and so I drugged some over with me to my where I started to spin it at, and went back over to get the second super, and then they didn't want nothing to do with me after that.
Yeah.
Well, was I reading a comment right a while ago? You up to how many now? 17?
No, I have the 17. I have 8 right now.
Okay.
Where you go?
I guess I misread.
No.
Sorry, y'all, I'm about to cut out, but I just want to jump on really quick and Gunline. I know I was trying to chat with y'all in the chats and stuff, so it was good to talk to y'all. Nice to meet y'all.
Glad you come.
Thank you for coming in, and look, shoot us a email. Well, I think it's at Gunline Bees on Gmail.
Gunline at Gmail. Okay, and
It's on your page.
I'll send you an email with some info, and then go from there. Send y'all something.
Send me some honey, and I'll get her to get that cast iron hot for some biscuits.
Yes, sir.
All right, bud. Take care, man. Happy
All
Father's
right,
Day.
have a good one.
All right.
All right, thank you.
So,
I'm hoping to have 12 by the time it's said and done this year. I'm planning on grafting. I think right around the 21st. Try to graft some to make some splits because I'm cutting these hives, these 2 girl hives down.
Yeah.
Well, you may have, and they get
my holly. Yeah, the holly hive. She lays slabs of brood. The May hive was actually doing all right. I only got 5 pounds out of that today, out of the 2 supers. So it wasn't really a whole lot that they were doing. So I think we're going into a dearth is the other reason they came after me besides it's about ready to storm.
we got lucky today. It went around us. It went down into Mobile, then it went over, I guess, whatever y'all got later on this evening that had come in. It kind of just give us a little break today, but for the next 2 weeks, from what I was looking at, it's going to be the same weather pattern: severe storms, tornadoes, and rain.
Shit. Makes it hard to collect honey. Shit.
Yes, sir. Or do
Makes it
much of
hard to do
anything, really.
anything.
Yeah.
Like I say,
Now,
I know
go
everybody
ahead.
talk. I know everybody's made whispers about the rain locking the bees in. You're gonna have to worry about swarm cells, and buddy, we've been. I'm gonna say just about maybe a little over a week locked down for the most part. The bees get maybe an hour through the day, 2 at the most, before the weather gets back in on them. But so far, we ain't seen no signs of swarm cells yet.
Well, didn't you have a slime out on one of
Yeah,
your hives?
yeah, got one. I think the Arapaho bunch we call them. But, I mean, we give all of our tribal names, and uh, got that bunch for sure. Then whenever we had went out to clean everything up the next day after we had seen what went on, we went ahead and checked one of the single brood chambers that was pretty close to it. We were seeing ants trailing up through just the one colony, and it was close. If we'd have been another 2 or 3 days, it'd have been the same instance. Longer story short, we ended up having to take a full super off and a full medium off, and we got them down to good, clean frames and one medium. So they're just a brood chamber right now on that one. But one for sure, and we got close on the other one.
That's strange. I've only seen maybe since the beginning of the season. I've probably seen about a total of 20 hive beetles, period, in any of my hives. And I've kept them awfully strong though too, even the splits. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. Bruce said must be using that peppermint. No, and I've been using the peppermint. I've just been keeping an eye on them.
Well, kind of going back, the peppermint, yeah, kind of, I guess, get back on that for a second, has been the biggest help out of everything between oil traps and beetle barns and all that stuff. But if we don't stay on top of them things down here, it don't take long at all for them to, whether if it's a good strong colony or naturally they're going to take over the weaker colonies much faster. But you don't tend to a strong colony as well, and they get built up in that joker. I mean, in about a week, she gone.
So, well, last year I did have problems with hive beetles. Last year, I mean, it's like every time I opened the lid, I was killing them. You know, but this year, for some reason, I just don't see a lot of them here. I'm not saying they're not here. Yeah, they can come in with the storms they got going too.
Well, I don't know if that's had something a little bit due to it or not as well, because early on in the season we done good. I guess I got a little bit too relaxed on the beetle end for us, because it was like, well, shoot, I mean, we're popping the slats off or we're taking the inner covers off, and like you say, you might see 6 or 8 about 2 months ago or a month and a half ago. But now it's getting to where when we're popping the lids, we're seeing too many. Yeah, I mean, anywhere from 20 to 30 to like that one a while ago, you busted open it and it's just full of beetle larvae everywhere.
It could do with the way we've had this spring too, because the temperatures haven't been normal. You know, usually it's a lot hotter before now. You know, getting going into June, it's a little warmer. It hasn't seemed to be that hot. We're getting in the 90s, but still, you know, it's not that bad. That
Well,
may have something to do with it.
maybe on a little bit better note, we was talking about this earlier. I don't know if you was in kind of close at the beginning, but whenever we had left from the pecan orchard, looking at all the tornado damage yesterday, we have went to the back pasture, and there's an old live oak back there, and it's got a bunch of underbrush under it. And a lot of it is, there's some tie under there, there's some privet under there, there's a few small little dogwoods trying to come up. But we got to noticing, man, the tie-tie's blooming again, and the privet's blooming again. So hopefully, I don't know if the rain is helping, and we're starting to get into, like you talking about, it's getting hot now. We're not in these beautiful little spring days that we had anymore. It's just going to full-blown misery for the most part. And I don't know if that is having something to do with it. The heat bringing, I'm hoping, a round of a good flow, possibly, but not going to hold my breath. But we definitely going to try to keep an eye on that a little bit more to see if maybe, Lord willing, we'll get a late flow.
Could possibly get something. I mean, like I was expecting a lot more than I pulled out of that one hive today. I thought both supers would be full, and that's gonna be maybe. I was thinking maybe 60 pounds. You know, between the two supers, it wasn't that much at all. So, but then again, too, I also have 5 frames of that was like the storyboard frames that I'm making cut comb from. Those came out really well, and I have them in the freezer right now. So that may have something to do with some of the honey count that I was looking at. But hopefully tomorrow I might be able to pull a little bit more off another hive and see what we get.
I don't even think we kind of looked around to actually say, okay, we have enough to justify dragging everything out and pulling a little bit of honey. Like I say, that's why I'm hoping, Lord willing, that whatever is turning on the privet and everything else, once again, that maybe we can at least get it to where we got a good flow, and it'll be enough to sustain for a minute, and the colonies grow. Get that queen to go to laying wide open. She knows she's got plenty of feed coming in, and just get our numbers built up. Then whenever we start doing or start going into dearth, which is what for us probably where we at, middle of June. So dearth is going to be hitting us in the next month. If we go by our normal timeline for the most part, we'll start seeing those signs. But that's the part where we can take and come in and continue our open feed, and especially the way Apis is really shown to take and prove itself as far as brood management and the growth of brood, adding that Apis to, whether it's your pollen patty mix or your water.
Well, I have to say Apis is the reason I have what I have right now, because those girls laid up a bunch of brood, and I started splitting really early this year because I think it was the end of January, first week of February. I had one hive had all kind of cells in it, so I had to do something, and I fed them Apis, and they were all on it the whole time. So that and Holly is a after solstice queen, so she's been rocking and rolling.
Well, is that who you're pulling your graphs off of?
Yes, I am, because their temperament is very good. She lays sheets of brood. they actually pull wax really well too. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 things that I see that you know I would and they are sort of their cleanliness factor is really high too. Hygienic nature.
Mm.
They'll open up cappings and pull out larvae if they think something's wrong with it. I mean, I don't know where they originally came from, but they happen to have those tendencies. So I think if I keep grafting from her and have that in the apiary, that when I say later on I do get something as VHS or whatever, and then you know try to see if it crossbreeds with that, see what happens. I'm not sure.
Let me ask you this: Is your drone population up enough to
Oh,
compensate?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They have a high. I have a high drone population here in my yard. I don't know. I've got Bruce's yard, which is 2 miles away, and another guy named Hugh. He's about 7, so that's right on the outside edge of my flight range for my bees to cross over his area. And I don't know what kind of drones they have, but I'm with 2 other apiaries not too far away. I'm pretty sure that there should be enough drones to mate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because ours, buddy, we ain't hardly hit a lick on drones. They early on, we'll go back to early on because late February, early March, things started turning on and doing inspections. You're going, well, I mean, shoot, they putting it to the drones, and all of a sudden they had a drone cycle, and whoop, that was it.
When we're doing our storyboard frames, that they for some reason the bees will pull mostly drone sized cells in there. So the queen, when she runs out of other places, that's where she's got to lay. So she lays drones.
Mm.
It's how that's working right now.
Well,
You cut that foundation in half and let them pull their own comb. They seem to be pulling mostly drone comb.
how many?
And drone.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All I would say is it's sort of like the center. The center of that what they pull is outer edges on it seem to be like their worker brood, and then towards the center they pull everything out to be drone in the center. It's I've never seen it before on this their own comb.
Well, how many grafts you do on your first run?
What was that?
How many grafts did you did you attempt?
I haven't attempted yet. I'm gonna do it on the right around the 21st.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Give them a brood cycle and see what Holly lays up. And I haven't been in her hive in a couple weeks actually. I've left her alone, let them do what they're going to do, and they've been pretty busy. So I'll see what she comes up with by around the 21st, and I'm thinking about trying 10. This is my first shot. Try 10 and see what I come up with. If I come up with 5, I'll be happy. They give me a few splits.
Email 3 man. Question is, what's a fellowship? Is that a brotherhood? Well,
not exclusively. There are females too.
yeah, it's
just a hangout.
in our opinion, fellowship is loving the Lord and enjoying. That's it. Loving your neighbor. Have a good, clean conversation. The brotherhood part, in a sense, I guess, yeah, you could call us a brotherhood in a way. We try to watch each other's backs and help each other out. Those type things. It
We're just hanging out.
yeah, we just hanging out, chit chat, and loving the Lord at the same time. I mean that's our fellowship. We appreciate you coming in, but yeah, I hope that goes good for you, brother. Doing your 10, start off with your 10 graphs. That sounds like a pretty good number just to take and start with.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, be my first shot. So I haven't failed bad at most of what I've been doing. It's like I got set back at the beginning of the year because I'd never dealt with the uh, swarming part and the growth part of bees. I keeping them alive. I figured that out over through the winter.
Mhm.
If I keep them alive through the winter, now it's multiplied. But you know,
Yeah.
just do the same thing and keep it rolling. And
Are
then
you gonna,
hoping that I don't lose any this winter.
Yeah.
are you gonna try to take and just break you off some nukes with those queens and, like you're saying, get them through the winter this season and have them ready to produce for next year?
Yeah, that's my attempt. Or if I get more than I'm looking for, I'll probably try to overwinter some nukes. So a few nukes early season of overwintered queens. So that way, people have the idea, know that this queen made it through the winter, survivor stock, and see how it goes from there.
Well, if those youngins perform as well as she's been performing, I mean,
You should be set.
yes, sir.
Well, the ones that they made cells, Holly's made I pulled out and that the bees make a cell from her eggs. They are doing the same thing. They're laying up sheets of brood. I think 3 weeks. I had a strong split with one of her eggs in a cell, and within 3 weeks, I had to move it into a bigger box because they had glued down the top of the box with extra wax. They were getting too crowded already.
Yeah.
That was her eggs. The whole split was her eggs out of her hive, and one of her one a well, they made like a swarm cell on the side of the comb, and they have like there's like two or three of those that are like that, and they're like had to be moved, graduated into bigger boxes because they were just getting too big. And I was afraid they could potentially want to try to swarm themselves. They had gotten so full.
Mhm.
So, but she's not shown any swarming tendencies on all the way through the year. I saw in the beginning of the year. I saw when they were crowded before I made the first splits. The first one, May, was making swarm cells. They had like 2 or 3 cups. They were all dry. So I added more space and kept them rolling. And she ended up being 3 deep by the time the flow started. So and she's put brood in both bottom boxes. She keeps brood rotating through there.
Wow.
So she's a powerhouse.
Sounds like
And
it. The system worked out.
well, right now I let it drop for a minute. I'm about to find out how bad of a system I have by letting it go for about an extra week. Yeah, I might go in there and find all kind of stuff I wasn't looking for.
Well, hope not, but
Well, I hope not either, but I look at that possibility,
mhm.
Oh yeah, I always have that in mind just in case what's going to go wrong next. Oh yeah, but while I was thinking about it, I'm glad Michael Buck brought this up. Keith Larimore Farms I think he's having his eye surgery tomorrow,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I think somebody put in the chat earlier this Tuesday.
Okay, this coming Tuesday. Y'all, you praying folks out there. Yeah, say a prayer for old Keith that he gets him some healing off his surgeries.
Maybe
And
going through fits here lately.
yeah, I think he was saying one of the chats the other night, they done another test and said there was some scar tissue they had found over his eye. And I think they're going to try to go in and, Lord willing, I hopefully remove that scar tissue so he can regain his sight back into that eye. But yeah, y'all say a prayer for Larimore this evening. And
He's had a lot going on.
that's it. I know there's many others out there too, but that's just the one I know of right now.
Well, I'm gonna bring this up. My wife's at the hospital right now. They're holding her for observations tonight because they had her back. They put her back on her heart monitor because they think there's a clog in one of her arteries. So they've been monitoring her for a month. Well, the other day her legs started to swell, so she went there to see what was going on because her ankles started swelling up, her feet started swelling up, and they found some high liver enzymes, so they're keeping her overnight for observations. I don't know what that's going to mean.
We'll say a prayer for her too, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have no idea.
Me and Hannah was talking about this, and to kind of go back on the fellowship end of it, this is where we at. We was thinking everybody that watches us knows we love the Lord and we put the Lord number one in our life type thing. And we do believe that his will be done type things. But yet prayer does work. And me and Hannah was talking earlier of maybe in the beginning of the segments and they dropping off like numbers. We go talking about the Lord, but that's cool with me.
Because a couple people last time threw in there, we all pray for this one or pray for that one. So especially since Michael Buck brought it up, I thought we might give other folks a chance to say, hey, will you pray for this or pray for that?
That's it. We will make what we was talking about. We will make a prayer list, and yes, we will. We are praying and God fearing folks, and if there's a prayer request,
Hey, Bob.
Hey guys and gals.
say Bob.
I was.
Day.
Thank you. Hey, that's one more Happy Father's Day than I got from my kids. No, yeah, they're all mad at me now because I fussed at them. So it's all good.
You know what my dad tells me? You're not too old to still get your butt whipped.
Yep, that's it. They're mad at me, so it's all good. One of them texted me at like 8 o'clock at night, talking about Happy Father's Day. I said, "Don't you mean Happy Father's Day evening?" And then I'm like, "It took you just as long to text out Happy Father's Day. Why don't you just call?" So I was just out here. I wanted to show y'all what was going on in the bee yard here. Whoops. Hold on. Sorry.
He's looking to get stung again.
See if I can turn this thing around. Hold on. Front facing. Back facing. I don't know. Facing back. Is that it? There we go.
Gotcha. Hang on. Let me make you big.
Whoop. Can you see me?
Yeah, sir.
All right. For some reason, hold on. Let me close the settings down. There we go. So these bees here, they've totally plugged up the whole entrance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cold. I mean, it's not hot. So I don't know. They got the whole entrance plugged up. Check this one out. If you can see it, there's a bunch of bees flying around my light up there.
Yeah,
So
they
that
very
is a
good.
baby blue box. So that the whole box is just caked with bees. Just chilling on the front. So I guess I can check and see how strong my colonies are just by looking at the landing boards at night. How many of them's hanging out on the front?
Is it nice and cool or is it humid?
It might be a little bit humid, but it's not. I mean, it's not bad. And they're just chilling. And I know that box right there, that purple box, is empty. One frame, the queen, and a bunch of foundation. The battery looks kind of active this evening. I can hear them fanning though. Well, that one started feisting up, so I don't want to get too close to that. But all of a sudden they revved up. I'm like, yeah, let me go ahead and step off. But this one back here, I don't know if y'all can see back here. So, but that red box, that darkness is not, well, it's kind of a shadow, but it's also a bunch of bees. So they're.
That's a welcome sight.
But it's only the ones that are facing towards the light, which is the funny part. If they're facing this way, like away from the light towards the backyard, I don't see any bearding at all. It's only the ones that the entrance is facing that light up there.
They're making themselves a louver.
Must be.
To block the light out.
But yeah, that's let me see if I can flip this thing around again. Hold on. Settings, camera. Okay, that one. There you go.
Bingo.
That should
go ahead.
put me back in it, but I mowed all my dirt, my neighbor's dirt. So tomorrow when it starts raining, we should have plenty of like you see the nukes on the ground, but back there in the back is I mowed all that to put buckwheat seed out back there and on the other side over there, and all my front dirt's mowed and my back dirt's been mowed. So
you gonna till it in or just chunk it?
No, I'm just gonna cast it. It's supposed to rain all week, so I'm just gonna cast it and let it work in, hopefully. But it's dark out here tonight. I don't see any moon. It is real dark. I'll probably trip and break my neck.
Bob.
Do what?
I said, I'm glad you come on.
Yeah, I was having in-depth discussions with my kids, and one of my daughters did stop by, so I talked to her for a while when you guys started, and then when I got off, I figured, oh, there we go, light. Ugh. I figured
that's a bright light. And then he froze.
Uh-oh. He froze.
Got out past his Wi-Fi again.
Yeah, he'll get back. Maybe he'll get back in a second. Uh-oh.
He hadn't done that. He hadn't done that for a while. He used to do that all the time. Night walks in the yard.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Sure he'll be back.
Yeah. And he was trying. He used to use a FLIR out there on his boxes and stuff.
He may be heading inside on that big computer, get a little better signal. But I hope he does.
You've been waiting all night.
I've been waiting for him all night. I hope he does. And I can't reveal to y'all yet why.
Jasper's phone was passing on.
Yeah, he's slowing down, but yeah, yeah, we go about another 10 minutes probably, so we cut it. But there, that man knocking on the door. There he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
He comes
You been waiting on me all night? Waiting on me for?
There he is. All right. I watched you last night's live, Bob Walker.
Oh, when I called you out.
Called me out on my hand crank again. All right. So
And then I said, if it works for you, that's fine. I said, but except for Tim.
that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, hold on to the business chair right there a second. I got something for you.
Did you get a Father's Day present?
No, sir. I ain't no pappy. Ain't nobody gonna send me nothing.
Hey, I am a pappy, and nobody sends me anything either, so don't feel bad.
Well,
Egg, did you get something for Father's Day?
Yeah, I got 10 bee stings.
there you go.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, I got something.
Ain't it something for Mother's Day? You hear all these wonderful, sweet stories about how mom got these beautiful flowers and she just had this wonderful day and so on and so forth. Well,
We
the
went out.
daddy come on.
Yeah.
Then it's, I took 10 bee stings. Bob can't get nobody to call him. Whatever else everybody else has got in the comments, kind of thing. It poor men. We don't get no respect, do we?
Well, you know what they say: "Mama's babies, daddy's maybe."
Yeah, we'll take that back. Jeremy did get him a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not
But
all women are slaves.
all right, in lieu of my hand crank, this piece of equipment I'm fixing to show you, I have not turned on. Well, I turned it on so I wouldn't look like a dummy to make sure it was going to work before I got on here. But prior to that, it has not been turned on since last year.
Okay.
Let me show you, Bob. Hold on to your britches.
Oh, he's
Oh yeah, be back.
Oh, Jasper don't like it.
All right, y'all.
I'm trying to say you got
Yeah. Come, hold on.
Did you chase that dog down with that vacuum cleaner?
Honestly, my bad, y'all. I did forget that she hates to vacuum. Whenever Hannah vacuums, she tries to eat that vacuum to pieces. I forgot about that.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I did aggravate her as a puppy, but now that the big one is big, she hates
Aggravate
it.
is a very mild word for what he did to that dog with the vacuum.
funny.
But
That's the only reason for that reaction.
Bob, I wanted to show you the quality of the everything you got. It has not been charged in almost a year,
And it still runs.
and that baby will crank up right now and go.
I think Lee caught a swarm. Did a cutout today with one.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about buying boxes and frames. Boxes and frames. So.
And I seen last night where he's talking about trying to get you 100 boxes.
Yeah, maybe 100 boxes and 1,000 frames. But then I'll be like everybody else, putting them together.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask: assembled or unassembled?
I'll be putting those together if they come on a pallet. So.
I actually don't mind putting them together. Like we'll drag out the compressor and the little trim gun and just get us a little system going and go to town in the living room floor most of the time.
Yeah, I figure if I start now, I might have enough by next year.
Yeah.
Using 1-inch crown nails.
Yeah, and after I counted the boxes yesterday, I'm like, I got 50 supers on colonies right now. It's like, even if I get half of those filled up with honey, it's going to be a pretty good year. I wonder if racks made from PVC boards would work.
I never thought.
Oh, like slatted racks. We're talking about slatted racks.
Mhm.
Well, they all have extra room,
You see,
so they're just packed. They are packed with bees right now. So, and during the day, you won't see any just hanging out. They're working, so it's a good thing, I guess. I just thought last year I worried myself to death about those hives that were bearding all over the place, and this year I was like, just let it.
Let it
As
go.
they said in the movie Frozen, let it go, let it go. Yep, that's what I'm working
Oh,
on.
there you go.
Letting stuff.
Copyright hit.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Well,
when they hear my voice, they for sure won't copyright. They won't even be able to tell what song it was.
that was a copy. Picture.
One,
The yeah, so yeah, my kids are not happy. I let them hold something. See, every birthday, every Christmas, everything, I always give them cash, right? Money. That's what they want. They're grown kids. Give them money. Let them buy what they want. And I'm like, you sorry kids won't even pick up the phone and actually just call. It's a, you know, to write Happy Father's Day in a text. You know, when you start on Father's Day, you hit H, Happy pops up, and they hit that, and then they start Fathers, and that pops up, they hit that, and Day. So they literally hit like 5 buttons and send. And it's like, oh, okay, we're good now. We can go about our day. And I'm like, just push the call button. You know, just even my daughter in Germany, she FaceTimed me at least, you know, get to see her. So that was a little bit of aggravation. But I told him, I said, you know what? I said, mark my words. I said, from this moment right here, there won't be no cash on no birthdays and no Christmas, no more.
That's it.
I'm not laughing at you, but
I told him, I said, same things y'all give me. If you give me a text, that's what you're getting. Text. And you know, hey, if it's good enough for them to send to me, they must think it's all right. So I'm gonna do it to them.
That's it. Happy birthday.
Yep, that's it. I might even throw a little smiley face emoji or something on it, or little. That's even better. I can just type "Happy Birthday" and throw them a picture up, and that's it. That's it.
well,
a
that
little
makes
gift.
it personalized, Bob. If you throw the emoji in there,
It makes what?
that makes it personalized. If you throw that emoji in there,
Hey, what you do, Bob, this year for the birthdays and all that? Send that picture with the cash and say, I got some extra cash. Happy birthday.
Yeah, this would have been y'all's, but thanks. You get to keep that 200. That's funny. Hey, thanks y'all just bought me another 10 boxes and 20 and 200 frames.
That's it. Daddy loves you.
So yeah, it's just the weirdest thing to me. Like you were saying, it's Mother's Day month, right? You'll start seeing Mother's Day posts a month ahead of time, or the whole month of May. As soon as Father's Day comes around, bam, crickets. Like nothing.
I think the only post I saw about Father's Day was a guy standing there in the back of his drawers all ripped up. Says, hold on, a couple more days is Father's Day.
well, it's not
And for me, it's not even about the gift. I don't care that they give me a gift, but you can call. You can call at least, It's like,
Well, there ain't nothing like hearing it. It's much better hearing somebody's voice, especially a loved one, versus a little old text message being sent on.
well, then the funny thing is, when I called him and blessed him out on the phone, right? And I told him, I said, I know for a fact you called or text somebody during the day today. You know what I mean? So you can't tell me you were so busy. That's what kills me. Dad, I'm just so busy all the time. I can't get down there. I can't. I said, son, I said, let me tell you something. You know, when your dad says, let me tell you something,
Here
shit's
we go.
real quick, right?
Yeah.
I said, let me tell you something. I work full time. I got a full-time bee business. I got to unbox these boxes, pack the honey. I got a swarm lure business where I work Amazon and my own website, and I still have time to call you. And when you call me and it's an emergency, I pick the phone up every time, right? So don't tell me you work Monday through Friday, you don't have enough time to pick up the phone and say Happy Father's Day. I said the damn date don't change. My birthday is the 7th of June, and Father's Day is 2 weeks later. Every year, don't change. Christmas, same thing. So don't tell me you couldn't have figured out. And my birthday was in the middle of the week, so you could have came the Saturday before or the Saturday after. You have options. You know, so I went off on him pretty bad. So, but so it might be a few days before he calls me back, or the first time he needs something, you know, which I'm all right with either way.
Well,
if your dad can't give it to you in plain terms, nobody can, right? So, is what it is.
well, do it like the old timers say. Do your Indian fighting. Give them 3 days.
Yep.
And then
That's it. Then make contact.
Oh yeah, we had a little family chat group. Kids started quitting the little family group chat on Facebook, leaving the group. I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? I don't care about this damn group. That's the whole problem to begin with. Y'all want to use the group to say everything. Pick up the phone.
They dropping off on you, Bob.
That's it. You know, whatever. I don't care. My kids are grown, so be grown. You know what I mean?
Does all them have youngins?
No, my youngest is actually the only one that's pregnant and has any kids. And the only thing I told him, I said, and I think Father's Day bothers me more, not even so much for me, but I don't have any. My wife's dad's dead. My dad's dead. My granddads are both dead. I don't have anybody. You know how many times I wish sitting on the couch or during the week that I could pick up the phone and give my daddy a call and just say, hey, how's it going?
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
And you don't have that option, and they choose not to utilize any of it. So I'm gonna say y'all gonna regret it one day. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, but one day you will sit back and say, you know what, I probably should have called a little bit more.
oh, you will, or they will regret it for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I lost my daddy when I was 13, 95. But yeah, there's still oftentimes I think to myself, what would daddy think? Would he be proud of what we're doing, or would he get on me? Or
Well, you know, my dad told me a long time. He said, I don't care if you're a ditch digger, be the best ditch digger you can be, and
yes,
then
sir.
nobody can complain. You know, if you can sustain your own self, your own family, and do your own thing, that's all any parent can ask for. You know, but it just gets frustrating for me around the holidays. And you know, I even called him out on his wife. So I went all the way in tonight.
Throttle, Jack.
Yeah,
I didn't do any practice. I told him, I said, you know what? You used to come visit us. Then you got married. Actually, before you got married, I said, but the last time I seen you here was when you came down to get married. And prior to that, you'd only come down about once a year. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying he don't live in New England. You know, he lives in Charlotte, an hour north of me, hour and a half north of me. And I said, you know, you got your grandparents from your mama across town. You didn't come to Easter. You didn't come to Christmas. You didn't do any of that. I said, but you used to before you met this girl. I said, so I don't know if that's it. No. And then I said, yeah, it's pretty much that's what we think it is. And I'm not the only one to think it. I'm just the only one brave enough to tell you that's what we think it is, that you don't come down and spend time with your family, you know? So, hey, I don't care. People may hate me, and I see thumbs down on my videos and stuff, but if I think something some way, That's what I think, and that's what I'm gonna say. And some people like it. You'll never, ever, ever have a problem knowing how Bob feels about something. I'm not saying you have to agree with it or like it, but you'll definitely know where I stand on something for the most part. And I said, and you all kids should know that because I've been that way your whole life, so it is what it is. So now we know Ziggy's B is Shane. Well, good night, Shane. So yeah, I just had some drama going on. Otherwise, I'd have been in on time. So I apologize for my truancy, sir.
You got to unload. Hey, we'll listen to you, man. Come on now.
Well, the streak's still alive, though. 7 days, 7 streams. And then tomorrow can be my 6th day late at work in a row.
6 day late to work.
I've been late. I was late every single day last week. And I don't see it. I don't see the thing changing tomorrow, probably.
Well, you start back this week, don't you, from your tooth surgery?
I worked all last week.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm. Sure did. I didn't do nothing today, though. Well, that's not until I didn't do anything with bees. I mowed that yard next door and washed my truck. That's what I did today. And that was it.
Michael, you didn't mess up no chat, brother. Yes, sir. We all need to be thankful for everything we given you. You absolutely right, my man.
Yeah, Michael, it's not just today, sir. Trust me. Matter of fact, I can show you my phone. For some reason, I might need to get off here because I'm gonna say something that I don't really want to say tonight.
You will save it for Tuesday. Just picking.
Tuesday night rant.
Yeah, I might be over it by Tuesday. That'd be what, 2 days? I'm just not gonna say it. Let me see. You mowed some dirt, and I've got pictures to prove it. That's right, I did. But yeah, I spend a lot of time trying to work with my kids. So hopefully nobody assumes that I haven't attempted to call them and I haven't reached out to them and I haven't taken care of them. But I'm also not going to kiss their little asses because they're all grown ass adults and they need to be that way. So,
well,
that's all I'm
unfortunately,
going to say about that.
You know what my mom called that? Tough love.
That's it.
Grow up. Can't tell you how many times I heard them words growing up.
That's it. That's how I look at it.
Unfortunately, though, Bobby, I imagine you ain't the only one sitting in that same boat right now. You know,
But
Daddy's
still
sitting around.
sucks.
But my kids are kind of spoiled too. I mean, they got the Xboxes, the computers, the iPads, the damn everything they wanted. Never held nothing back from them. You know, I don't get it, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I am thankful for my kids, and I don't love them any less. It's just that sometimes you got to be that way.
Yeah. Well, time to time, I imagine they can put a burr under your saddle, kind of thing.
Yeah, today was that day, so it is what it is. But anyway, back to beekeeping. What y'all got going on? Because I missed our whole chat.
Well, we have been from peppermints to beetles to honey.
Not mites, though. We didn't cover mites.
No mites tonight.
Yes. I saw someone post on Facebook.
Oh, man, you ruined it. You ruined it. There it is, right there. You said it. Mice.
Oh, no, I was just making a joke because all his comments from earlier, like I whispered under my breath, you gonna start a flipping war on this YouTube channel.
About mites?
Yeah, because he said something along the lines of, there are other pests we can discuss besides mites. So we're not going to talk about mites tonight.
The let me see. I had saw on Facebook someone actually posted a post in a beekeeping chat that all of the YouTubers, and I didn't recognize the person on Facebook, he said all of the YouTubers have been talking about how peppermint keeps small hive beetles away. So they planted peppermint out in their apiary, and they put peppermint candies in the colony, and they said that they don't have small hive beetles in their yard anymore. So that was pretty interesting that it's kind of come around full circle.
I mean, there's something to it. I mean, it works. It just, darling, how much you want to put into it. It's just like everything else with all the other critters. I mean, if you want to, if you want your colonies to survive, whether it's the small hive beetle you're dealing with, moths you're dealing with, or the blasted mites you're dealing with, I mean, you got to do something to kill them, or at least keep them run out.
Right.
Good night, Mike. Take care, brother. Appreciate you coming in. But, well, what's your yield supposed to be off your buckwheat, you reckon?
Well, it says for an acre, it should yield about 150 pounds. So we'll see if it even all takes or if it grows at all. I don't know. I might have spent $100 and something buying seeds for nothing. I don't know. Sandy soil. We're going to see what happens.
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's if it'll take pretty quick or.
I don't know.
Buckwheat.
The advertisement said that it was 4 to 6 weeks that it should take off. So we'll see how it goes.
We got a bee in the house, sounds like.
Got a bee in your bonnet? I did today.
I think one done escaped in here, I reckon. Or done got in here. But
They escaped into the house, huh?
yeah, he escaped into the house. It sounded like one come in. That one dog, when it get out here, she'll let us know where it's at.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get some more honey. The first round, I got I didn't get as much as I'd like to have gotten. I was hoping to get a 5-gallon bucket. You'll
get it.
I got about half of one.
2.5 gallons?
Yeah.
You'll get I tell you what, I still go out there and when I open up the uncapping table, it's still draining honey out of it every day when I open it up. So
well, that might have another gallon in it right now, the uncapper. I didn't drain it. I just let it sit and drip to the bottom of the bucket.
All right, I'm sure it will. But
well, they sure didn't like me when I went to go get that second super right before the storm hit.
Right. Well, see, now here's what I'm running up against. The weatherman's saying for the next 9 days it's supposed to be raining.
Yes, sir.
So here's the first problem. All them babies are going to continue to hatch. So then they're going to feel like there's too many bees in there, right? So big risk of swarming after the storm, so to speak. The storm after the storm. So that could be an issue. The other issue is I can't go out there and pull the honey off until it stops raining, right? So, and maybe that moisture from the rain might keep them from capping it longer. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I know we kind of go back to like what y'all talked about. Charlie and Minnesota Mike mentioned this a minute ago. Just what's going on in your region. But we was talking earlier about that. We kind of doing the same thing. Everybody, for the most part, been locked down the last week and a half because of the rain. Then, like you just said, we got another almost 2 weeks of it fixing to come in every single day.
Which, if there was a nectar flow, it will be finished with all that rain washing everything out.
Well, I don't know. We might have a shot.
We
You think all that rain will make something bloom afterwards?
Well, when we went up to Citronelle at my grandma's place yesterday, we put that video up. We went to see the tornado damage.
I watched that tree that was split.
We drove like through the orchard all the way down to the back pasture back there, checking things out, and there was tie and tallow trees, or no, privet. And tallow with brand new blooms fixing to open up on them.
Flowers.
So everything is reblooming now.
It's blooming again. Those are ones that bloomed and died off and blooming again now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Like, could not believe it. Told him, you talk about make a girl's heart skip a beat. Let her see something like that.
That's what I was wondering about this year with the cooler temperatures that we've been having. I mean, it's hot now, but it's been cool for pretty much the whole time, right? And now we've had more rain than we've had in a while. So I'm wondering if that's going to just prolong the honey flow, because you hear Charlie speak and Charlie says that, oh, our flow is done. We're done for the year. And I'm like, we're still getting it down here a little bit. So all of my mimosas still bright and pink and white and just blooming. And I'm like, and the privet across the street is blooming, the glossy privet. So maybe it will. Maybe it'll keep going. I'm hoping.
I'm praying it will.
That's us too. The heat wave and all this rain. Maybe the plant's saying it wasn't hot enough or something. I mean, I don't know, but there are some good signs coming.
It sort of makes me wonder too that what's going to happen with the goldenrod this year is we have had a lot of rain. If goldenrod is going to produce for the fall.
I don't know if it puts it in a bind in the spring and summer when we get our rainy seasons, or if it's during, late September, early October. Well, for us, about that time that the goldenrod will kind of start putting on out. Or is it the late season rain that knocks it down to where we're not getting a nectar flow or any type thing? But I mean, like I say, go back to our 5th season this year, and the only time we pulled any kind of honey for the goldenrod was from a dead out last year. Every other time, like I said, the blasted tropical storms and hurricanes would come in and knock out the crop pretty much soon as it's getting good and right. So we've never had the benefit of actually getting, I guess, a fall flow to pull honey.
This is actually saying we're having a high pollen count right now. So, I don't know.
Well, he said in his video, all the girls he was taking out of that cutout were carrying pollen in full baskets.
That's right, and that was today too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know if they've been getting hit quite as hard with as much rain as us, but either way, for all of us down here, Lord willing it, something will turn around and we can at least have enough to where we can be comfortable to get them through the winter season.
Right. And that's kind of what my thing is with the buckwheat. If it gives them enough pollen and whatever they need just for for an extra month during the dearth, that's one less month of having to feed them every day, right? So that's a good thing. Because if you take 150 pounds divided by 60 colonies, you're only looking at about 2.5 pounds a colony, right? So it's not like it's going to be a huge flow for them, but it could be something better than nothing.
We'll say 2.5 extra pounds in there, like you say, instead of worrying about keeping that feed out, which I mean, we're going to have to do that anyway, but like you say, a day or two of that less stressor.
Right. If it keeps more bees in it and less hive beetles, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
And I haven't seen really a handful of hive beetles when you go in a hive. So I usually, if I see one or two, I crush them and keep it moving. But anyway, guys, it's 20 after 11 here, so I'm going to call it off. So maybe I can be to work on time tomorrow. First time in 6 days.
Yeah.
Like every single day.
I told him I was making an executive decision, and we're gonna sleep till daylight in the morning, and then get up
Till daylight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And then your body is going to make a corporate decision that's going to say, yeah, but we're used to getting up this early.
That's the way it does. Oh, yeah.
Look, daylight is sleeping in though most of the time.
But you got to be the Hardys by the time they get them biscuits ready to go.
Yeah, I wish he'd take me to Hardee's for a biscuit. He looks at me, you gonna make breakfast? Yeah. Do I look like I'm making breakfast before we get to work?
All right, guys. Well,
That's why they gotta get up early.
Yes.
y'all have a good evening. I'll talk to y'all Tuesday night.
All right, Bob. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, Ed.
All right.
Good
Yeah.
night, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign off too.
Us
Yeah.
too, Ed. We're gonna.
We out.
We do appreciate everybody coming in. Ones of you.
Everybody that stuck it out.
Ain't that true? We thank you again.
Yeah.
But once again, happy Father's Day, everybody.
Hope y'all had a good day.
That's it. And God bless you, Lord willing. We'll see y'all on the next one. Y'all take it easy.
All right.